Oh, okay, it's working, I think. Yeah, I think so. Hi, everybody. I'm gonna live stream some gameplay. I haven't done this ever in a while. Maybe I've done it at like one point. But I have a few free hours today. My fiance's at a book club, and I felt like procrastinating. So I thought I would stream some Fang gameplay. As you know, this is the dude. He's my hero for almost everything. I occasionally have been playing Valda lately, but mostly we're trying to make Fang work in this meta. I was pretty doomy about Fang. Um, Pretty doomy about Fang in my tier list video that came out recently. I think I put him at the lowest I've ever had him, or one of the lowest. I think he was like C tier. Usually my Fang cope makes him like A tier. I think I was dooming a little too hard. He's probably a little better position than I expected. I was also, I think, maybe rating Verdance. I think she's S tier, but I was rating her a little too strongly against Fang. I think it's Fang favored now with the new headpiece. But we're trying out some stuff in this version. This is my personal version. If you ever want to see this as it's being updated, I honestly change cards probably almost daily. So the matchups are never really fully complete because I'm always testing new stuff. But if you ever want access to this version, I think it's linked on my Metafy. That's the only place you can access it is through the Metafy, I think. But because usually when I make a YouTube video, I make a separate deck list, like YouTube, like this copy of it, just because I don't want. Yeah, if I link this, then it'll be wrong within a day of uploading the video since I'm constantly changing the deck. So this is the constantly updated one. I'm not gonna spend too long going over this because I don't think I need to since I have a lot of Fang deck techs. But I'll quickly go over the stuff I'm trying out, I guess. So I try to usually have like the way I build decks, or my personal ones at least. I have like a core, and then everything else that it's not usually in or not in most of the time is in the inventory. Not that you would never sideboard any of these cards out, but I don't know if I do at the moment. I think almost every single one of these cards stays in every matchup, so it's really the core. This equipment's always in. I don't think there's any other options, and this weapon's always in, of course. And yeah, it's like 9 resource cards, so you always pick Blunton or Last Ditch Effort right now. These are both kind of things I'm testing. I decided to make the deck like hyper focused against Mario. I was kind of thinking about it, realizing that with Temporal Wobble now, I think even with 3 Amulet of Echoes, I don't know if that's going to do anything into Acilio because you're just giving them Temporal Wobble targets with the Amulet of Echoes. So I cut those and decided just to like try to boom Mario's as much as I can, which is why I went to 3 Blunton, went to 3 Cut from the Same Cloth, and 3 Hunt to the Ends of Wraith, and 3 Shelter. These cards are all just like really nutty into Mario, so I'm sure you could tech even more, I suppose, into Mario if you had like even more defense reactions. But I think this is almost as close as you can get into max tech for Mario, like with the 3 Blunton, the shelters, the Hunt to the Ends of Wraith, the Cut from the Same Cloth. I suppose you could also play yellow Cut from the Same Cloth, but the shelters aren't properly sighted in. I was gonna say I don't see them in here. Like I said, the sideboard is not always correct since I'm messing around with it a lot. And then these are obviously very new Last Ditch Effort. I had seen, I think, Bird playing 1 or 2 of these. Essentially, I was using 3 slots before for anti-fatigue, which I think you should have anti-fatigue stuff as Fang, but I had 1 Flurry Stance, 1 Sharpened Senses, and 1 Oath of Steel. And those are 3 slots, and they essentially help you never lose fatigue matchups or have a very low chance. And I was kind of annoyed that I was using 3 slots on that because like that's the only matchup you play them in. Like Flurry Stance and Oath of Steel is pretty bad into anything except Fatigue, and Sharpened Senses. I mean, I played it a lot because it's a resource card, but I didn't like that it was yellow and it was also bad against anything not Fatigue. So Last Ditch Effort kind of plays 2 roles. Obviously against Fatigue, having 3 of these is pretty amazing. I'm not sure you need 3. Maybe 1 could be a Relentless Pursuit still, but I just wanted to make sure you would get some back against Fatigue. But the other reason is I always want 12 resource cards, and Blunton is pretty mid in a lot of matchups, like pretty bad. If they don't use a weapon or if they don't swing their weapon often, it's just a yellow 2 block that is only a block card, so it's pretty horrible if they're not a weapon-based deck. So you need something to side in differently, and this is just a blue 3 block that if the game goes really late is amazing. So that's why it's here. I don't know if it's good yet. I don't even know if I've ever gotten to test it in this version. I've mostly been testing against Marios and Fis where the Bluntons are in. But yeah, it's kind of lets me use the same 3 slots that are for Fatigue as also being the alternate resource cards from Blunton. So it's mostly there as like a being able to double dip on a slot. 3 for the Realm is kind of high. So those are the weird cards, I guess, is 3 for the Realm, but I kind of have it as like a pet card. I really like this card. I think like when it's early game, For the Drakai is like your best card, and so just more copies of that is kind of nice, but 3 is probably too much. And then the 3 Last Ditch Effort are kind of weird. The rest is like, I guess, traditional. I think it's a little heavy tech, like I said, for Mario. The 3 Huntsman's Array, 3 cut from the same cloth. But the rest isn't too substandard. But yeah, these are the new things that I've been messing around with. I think you can see here. I cut the Flurry Stance, the Oath of Steel, and that Sharpened Senses. I had cut a Pledge Fealty, but then put it back in. Oh yeah, I was trying out like these 2 Loyal to be on the grave, but I think that card's just cope. Cut the Amulet of Echoes and Relentless Pursuit. So I was able to cut like 5 resource cards, just bring in 4, which is kind of nice. And then brought Shelters back in instead of Smokeouts, which is much better into Mario and Syndra. And yeah, I think the deck is a little more streamlined now, works a bit better. Let's try to play some games. I'd like to mostly play against Verdance and Mario, because I think those are the 2 top meta decks that are relevant. So we'll see if we can get some Verdance or Mario. But I don't know how long we're gonna have to wait. I mean, I could pop in this, but I don't know. I want like games that are good examples of what Fang, I should say, is gonna play in the meta. I don't want to show off a matchup like this that you might never face in the current meta. So while we wait for something relevant to show up, hello, Leroy Jenkins. How are you doing? Leroy Jenkins 69420 is a wild username. That's crazy. That is a really beautiful name. Okay, I'm gonna do the thing where I open 2. Can I ask for looking for specific hero? I can pick up to 3. Okay, let's do Mario, Verdance, and Fi. Let's double check they're not up. No. Okay. And then we'll kind of check for both. The only downside of Talishar, is it takes a little bit of time to get in. It says I have 17 concurrent viewers. Thank you for everyone that's joining, even though it was very spur of the moment, like I said at the beginning. Kind of a random deck tech, but yeah, if you didn't catch it, we're trying some new stuff-ish with the deck. I'm trying to really hate out Mario. Essentially have folded. Here's a Fi. Let's try this. Against Fi, we're gonna go second. I don't know if this is sideboarded right. We're gonna play Balance of Justice because they have the new Draw 2 card, and yeah, we want Blunton over Last Ditch Effort. Hunt's Wraith is just for that. Yeah, this looks correct. Let's go. This is pretty nice if he lets us play the Pledge Fealty. And that's a big if, but we'll find out. Block with Oath of Loyalty first, just because it's the most even block. It's worth taking like 2 damage to play this Pledge Fealty. I'd rather not take like 4. So we're going to have to see how this goes. I'm probably going to take 1 damage at least from a Phoenix Flame and then Shelter from the Storm on the Searing Emberblade. So it's really this last card in hand that he gets to decide if it smacks me or not. Or I'm going to Shelter from the Storm that, I suppose. Wow, he's really going to no Arsenal, huh? So I'll take 4 this turn, essentially. Assuming he's going to Emberblade in Phoenix Flame, which I don't see why he wouldn't. He might Arsenal the Phoenix Flame. No. Oh, he is Spreading Flames out, too. So, I mean, we could block with Equipment here. I'm not sure it's necessary to do so. Like, we could block with a Balance of Justice. But it's interesting to note that he is a Mask of Momentum version when they're mostly Pouncing links. So typically, I think if this was Pouncing links, I would block with the Balance of Justice. But it's not. So we are just going to let him kind of smack us a bunch here. Pledge Fealty being both good and bad. If it was a 3 block, we would have 3 more life. But I think maybe a Fealty is better than 3 life. I mean, either way here, we would be at, even if it was a 3 block, we'd be at 37, right? Because he's... I would block 3 on this, and I would take 1, and I go to 37. So it's more like, is a Fealty better than 3 life? Generally, I think the answer is yes. Significant to note is that he didn't end with an Arsenal, of course, so it's not like he dealt 6 and kept an Arsenal. Oh, this is a very bad but interesting hand. If this had a blue, obviously, instead of one of these dens or the sigils, or a yellow, I should say, it'd be quite good, because we could even technically get online. So the question is it worth pitching both the sigil and the den to try to get online? Because we could technically mark with Long Whisker and then hit here. I think we should go for that. We'll pitch Sigil of Solace first. Just see how he blocks. Okay, we're going to do mark. Just like go for the highest roll we can on this hand, because if we can get online on our first turn, we're going to be behind quite a bit on value. But no, we're going to be behind a bit on value because we didn't draw a yellow. Essentially not drawing a yellow caused us to lose 3 life here, but that is the Fang existence. Is if I had a blue or a yellow, instead of this sigil, we would have had 3 more life because we would Arsenal the den. But that's not what happened. So we're down a bit, but this is about as early as you can get online. Technically, we could have drawn triple Pledge Fealty the first turns, which is the quickest you can get online. But this is quite fast. But like I said, we're kind of going a little shields down, taking quite a bit of damage, not getting an Arsenal. But we're online, so now we can block with 3 cards every hand from now on. Important to note, it's not Syndra, it's Phi, so they can't flick knives to kind of gotcha us. This is pretty horrible because we didn't draw a Draconic React, which is always a possibility here. So we've got 2 lines that we can end up doing with this hand. The safest is just to swing a For the Drakai. It's essentially 2 value less than having a react because it doesn't let us refresh dynamos and it doesn't let us get the second swing, so it does 2 less value than what we could get. So that's like a safe, or we could go for like full YOLO, keep Scar Tissue in a blue or something like that, but I don't think that's a very good idea. So I think, needless to say, I think we're going to keep the For the Drakai. There's a idea to keep this overcrowded to Arsenal until we can get like a Vigor going, but that really depends on what he swings here. I think we'll probably end up blocking with the overcrowded. A little 5. Mask of the Momentum once again makes this quite different because now we're much more incentivized to block 3rd chain links and not block until then. So we are going to kind of let ourselves take a little more damage on 1st chain links where Against Pouncing Lynx Fi, it almost doesn't matter where you block. But of course, momentum makes this quite different. 3. It's probably fine to... Is it fine to block here? So we could block for 3, stop the second chain link here. That's what you would typically do against Syndra, because third chain link is kind of sketch to do. You want to force them to flick knives early. But here, we would have to block with the second card later, potentially. But we're kind of okay blocking with second card later, right? So let's just block with the 4 of the realm. That's the card we're least likely to keep in arsenal. The most likely card we're going to end up arsenaling is the Scar Tissue, just because it's always more value on offense. And I think it's reasonable to block with the Overcrowded here. It just guarantees no mask of momentum getting through. Yeah, so he'll get, what is it going to be, 1 damage at least this turn with the Phoenix Flame, which we'll just take. And then it'll depend what the last card is. If he's playing what I would say is correctly, he should not swing his last card. He should arsenal it because he has no chance of Mask of Momentum. Interesting, very interesting. Okay, so he's just going to throw a Lava Burst and arsenal the Phoenix Flame. That seems like it could have some Nombo potential if he's playing Rainbow Rise from the Ashes. But no, I mean, he gets good damage in here. Not drawing that Draconic card, like I said, costs us 2 value, which is a Draconic React, I should say, which is unfortunate. But we did draw a Draconic card that's relevant here. You can see, once again, us getting punished for not drawing that yellow/blue, because imagine if we had gotten to keep that Den of the Spider to Arsenal, we would have been able to mark him on that turn, on previous turn, and then now we would be up to potentially 5 fealty. If he was marked, this hit made the fealty, which would mean the Scar Tissue and Arsenal would no matter what let us go off next turn with the blocking with our whole hand. So that is why sometimes I consider playing 15 resource cards, and it could still be a consideration. Very interesting hand. So he's going to just throw a Phoenix Flame for 0. Doesn't count towards Mask or anything like that, so that's good. We're probably going Pledge Fealty this turn to do the go again, and then next turn that lets us have the extra fealty to do a Scar Tissue one, so evens out to decent value. What game is this? This is Flesh and Blood. Flesh and Blood trading card game. It's an in-person trading card game, but there's a fan-made online client called Talishar, talishar.net, where you can practice, try out new things. I wonder if he'll close the chain link here. Oh wow, he's not got a lot great stuff going for him. I think we just give this 2 block. Phoenix form. So it's just a 5 go again, huh? Think that's okay. He has to swing at least 1 more card. Probably give this. There's like an idea to give Valiant Dynamo here too, but I think we'll hold it on the assumption that he has to at least swing at Searing Emberblade. Oh, that's good we didn't block out the full thing, because we could have gotten, I mean, he was going to get through here either way. So we're kind of hoping he swings weapon. That's the major downside of Blunton, is Fi doesn't always have to swing his weapon, but he's typically incentivized to, like this, and then he gets blown out here. I don't know if he has a Phoenix Flame to grab. No, he doesn't, so he just has to discard Issin Flame. Pretty significant what just happened. So, you know, it's kind of blocked for, you know, blocked for 2, but then obviously he discarded a card that gets him 2 value. So it's essentially a 4 block, but Inflame can often be more than just 2 damage. So, you know, it might be kind of almost a 5 block. Now, of course, our turn's not going to be incredibly powerful. We're going to hit him for 3 damage and then refresh Dynamo, so we're going to get 4 value out of this hand. But like I said, getting that 4th fealty here, then let's Scar Tissue. So this is a 4 value hand. which, like I said, is not incredible. It's also not horrible. I mean, 1 card 4. It's a 0 for 4 basically. But then the extra fealty, now that we're at 4, we can do Scar Tissue, which is a 7 value. Yeah, 5, 6, 7. So, I mean, this will be a 1 card 7, which is, of course, quite insane. So, evens out, between the two hands. It's a 1 for 4 and then a 1 for 7. So 2 card 11, which is much overrated. So yeah, Pledge Fealty seems kind of a feels bad in that instance, but when you think about, this hand might not be incredible, but next hand will be a far above rate, and that's only possible because of this Pledge Fealty. Not that we're necessarily having to go for that hand. We might draw a Draconic attack reaction that's better suited for it. Yeah, so we drew 2 Draconic attack reactions, I should say, so probably more likely to swing one of these. But Scar Tissue line is not bad. We could also save this until we draw a Savor Bloodshed, which might be the more reasonable play. Savor Bloodshed is especially important in aggro matchups. Against non-aggro decks, they're pretty likely to block it out. We don't have Flick Knives or anything that are just going to let us always get the Savor Bloodshed. So it is pretty likely they'll block it out. This is just always getting Dynamo blocked, right? Against a mask deck, especially if they swing something for 1, just getting to eat it up with Valiant Dynamo feels really nice. Just be like, oh, you have to make your chain a little longer now, especially when your hand already blocks pretty well. Yeah, this is great for Sink Below. So we're going to sink one of these reactions, of course. We don't need to in any circumstance. I would much rather have a 3 block. I will sink the Searing Gaze. Oh, that's kind of ugly. To be honest, there's not a lot of logic behind this. Oh, is he a Razor Reflex deck? That'd be kind of cool. Nope, did that in the wrong order. Oh, he's just using Spring Tunic for getting a Phoenix Flame back, I see. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of unfortunate that it wasn't a 3 block, but it's also not the end of the world. Our deck has a decent quantity of 2 blocks, so. Oh, that's so interesting. He pitched the wrong card, I assume. Yeah, so this is the main issue I've seen with Fies playing Fire That Burns Within. I don't think they're running enough blues to make it happen. This is not the first. I mean, I've been practicing against the new Fi deck quite a bit with Fang, and this is kind of a regular occurrence where they have to pitch a red for Fire That Burns Within, which then makes this card pretty mediocre. So I don't really plan on blocking this. These are more value on offense, and so he really needs to present something that would make me care. He might be pitching this just to play around that. Oh, did he? No, he didn't. I was gonna say, did he Ancestral Empowerment this turn? But no, that was the turn before, right? Because then if he Ancestral Empowerments and Fire That Burns Within, you can still get Balance of Justice off that way. But we will let this go through. We essentially are blocking it for 3, and with Sigil of Solace, we're just not telling him that. So he'll find out later. On our turn, we're probably just going Affirm Loyalty, Sigil of Solace. So 4 value, then a free value plus this. So it's like kind of each 4 value if you consider the Dynamo here. So it'll be just a 3 card 12. Pretty efficient, just 4 Blaze Headlongs of value essentially. Typically with Fang, you're just playing out the best value of that hand. So if this was a 3 block instead of Affirm Loyalty, I would be blocking. But it's a 2 block, so it gets more value on offense. That's not always the case. I mean, I do block with 2 blocks. You've seen it happen a few times this game, but it really depends. Yeah, because then here's a Lava Burst, and that ends up being a lot of damage. Now I'm like, okay, maybe I do want a 2 block here, because we're just trying to keep our life total up until we can find some stronger hands. I'd like to make it alive for a bit longer, so I think we are going to block with this Affirm Loyalty. Yeah, that's fine. So I mean, it looks like we're behind on life. Not that we're not behind on life, but we're gonna be at 16. We'll be only 4 life behind at the end of this. Assuming he's going full no blocks, we are gonna use a fealty on the Sigil of Solace. It literally is just for 1 extra value here, but we need to grind every point of value out we can get. You would think, oh, we're just gonna go, Affirm Loyalty here, dagger for 1, and then Sigil of Solace at the end of turn. But this gets 1 more damage because now we will get that loyalty, that fealty back immediately with a firm loyalty. So we didn't really lose any fealty because we're now getting this on the second chain link, and we got 1 more damage out of it by turning the Sigil of Solace Draconic. So get every point of value you can. It's really important to do. Of course, I would not have done that if we were at only 3 fealty, but that is the advantage of 4 fealty in this deck. Came here because of Arsenal Pass. Did they mention me or something? I don't think I have any connection to Arsenal Pass. I mean, I love their work. They're really great guys, and Arsenal Pass is fantastic. But I don't know what brought you here. Was hoping for brute gameplay. Sorry. Fang is what you're gonna get here. Yes. I'm not sure what yes means to which of my questions. Did they mention me or something? In the latest episode. I guess I need to go watch the latest episode to see what they did. Ooh, this is a big loss of value for him, obviously. If he has to pitch a full blue to get his hero ability, that's pretty significant downside. So this is our pop-off hand. Oh, he's going to get dunked on here. Holy crap. So essentially, we're never blocking with this Fire and Brimstone or Searing Gaze. So the strongest hand you will get every game with Fang is... they mentioned me. Oh, wow. I did not know that. They're great guys. I met them in person, but I didn't know they mentioned me. The most value you'll ever get with Fang is a Fire and Brimstone turn, and that hand always requires 2 other reactions, and we have the 4th fealty to make this Draconic, so we need the Scar Tissue and the Searing Gaze, and we are going to do a lot of damage. So we're going to block with this for the Drakai and the Overcrowded. We're also going to definitely block out as much as we can this turn because we are going to have to keep a lot of cards, and we definitely want to activate this Balance of Justice because this will probably, not guaranteed, but probably be his only Phoenix Flame, his Art of Phoenix War of the game. Probably the only one of the game because he's pitched 1, so we know that's gone, so he has 1 left. Oh, that's kind of sucky. So what we're probably going to do is have this be one of the reactions, and we're going to be blocking with this Searing Gaze now, if we have to. He might not attack enough to make that relevant. This is kind of nice for him. Yeah, so this is going to be the biggest turn. Oh, so what I was saying, sorry, Art of Phoenix. So he only has 1 left, and we're getting pretty low on life total. So he might draw the other, but it's not looking likely. We're just going to try to block out fully this hand, essentially. We had a lot of armor left. I think we had all of our armor left, actually, so that will be pretty relevant. Ooh, pitching the Phoenix Flame for that is interesting. He only has 1 more attack. I mean, the blowout couldn't... I mean, I don't even know what the blowout could be with this last attack. I don't think anything will be relevant here. We will just block for 3. Bada boom. And then he'll hit me with whatever this is. And I'll take it. Probably like a Lava Burst for 6 or 7, which is, yeah, a Blaze Headlong for 5. Yeah, where there's no reason for us to block this. Technically, we could block with Searing Gaze, but it's nice to always have a reaction in Arsenal as like insurance, quote unquote, as Fang, so you don't get those hands like we had really early in the game where we just had to swing a for the Drakai for 2 less value. So I'd much rather keep a card. I'll probably Arsenal this Pledge Fealty. It's really nice to Arsenal the instance as sidestepping once we get him lower. So we are going to go for that. Like I said, the other option, if we were lower in life, like sub 10, I would maybe consider blocking with the Searing Gaze. But we were always going to go for this big Fire and Brimstone hand unless we were even lower. So once you're like quite low and they can kill you with a single hand, like he still can't quite kill me with 1 hand because I have enough armor. There's like he almost will not be possible for him to kill me with a single hand. So I would still at this point at 11 life go for Fire and Brimstone. But if you're at like 5, they can have a big enough hand to pop off, and so then you would start wanting to block even if your hand's a good Fire and Brimstone hand. So we're gonna start here. We are going to go fealty for scar tissue because that is the most value out of these. It's nice to get the secondary effect on stuff like Searing Gaze when you can. So we're going to start with this, and we're basically just going to try to push as much damage as we can here to make him at least incentivized to start blocking in the next turn or two. You know, you can win without forcing the aggro deck to block, technically, but it's much nicer to force the aggro deck to block, and then it's hard to lose once the aggro deck is blocking. Okay, so then we're going to do Fire and Brimstone, so we're going to see how much damage this is with just 3 cards. Plus a Dynamo Refresh, of course. So now we Fire and Brimstone. So we did 5 and then 3. So he'll be relatively low after this. And then we're going to have another 5 and then a 2. So what is that? 15 damage with 3 cards. So 5 value per card. It's quite high. Basically 3 0 for 5s. And then a reset on Dynamo. So we're going to get 16 value total from 3 cards, which is about as high as you can get in Flesh and Blood. It's not exactly the highest. You can do more value than that with 3 cards, but it's very uncommon. Very uncommon to get more than 16 value with 3 cards. So this will be quite good. And like I said, we'll swing the game. You can see it was, 21 life for him or something to 11. And we will end with, if he doesn't block any further, with him at, and he shouldn't block to be fair, but he'll end at 7. And then he's going to start having to second guess himself. You found the timestamp? Oh, it doesn't probably let you post links. Maybe you can send it to me on Discord or something. My Discord's just Bagel TCG. I'm not sure. I don't know how to turn off the link blocking on YouTube, to be honest, because I don't live stream very often. So there. Now he's at 7. You know, any hand could kill him. Around 856. Okay. Thank you. Any hand could kill him, especially if I draw like a Hunt's End. So he's in danger zone now. Yeah, see, look, now he's got lethal presented to him on my turn. I think he'll probably be dead. I think this is probably the last turn of the game, especially because he's having to use stuff like blue Rise from the Ashes. We've got a huge fridge. We've got Blunton. Yeah, we might block with this Long Whisker Loyalty or the Saber Bloodshed even, but we could also just kill him with keeping all of these. So we're going to try to keep as much of our cards as we can. I think we're just going to give him the full fridge on this one. We're at the end of the game. We can start just throwing fridges in front of him. This is kind of a relevant-ish effect, right? I think it can make a 1 to a 0. We're kind of hoping he swings Searing Emberblade, of course. Getting to Blunton would be pretty significant this turn. This can hit. We're only really blocking if he's presenting lethal, which he certainly could. 2 cards can present 7. So I'm not saying it's out of the question. But, yeah. Oh, and he swings the weapon. So he will have to discard this Phoenix Flame, which technically, I think it stops 2 damage, right? Because now he'll get the other Phoenix Flame back with his hero ability, but it will also lose Tiger Stripe Shuko, so that's pretty relevant. So, I mean, we certainly win. We've won the game. But you can see, I think it was, not that it was required to win the game, but Fire and Brimstone just sped up the process, I should say. I guess we are going to have to block this Phoenix Flame for 1, unfortunately. That's kind of a misplay on my part, because Mask of Momentum, it's kind of awkward. Yeah, we don't have to. We're going to kill him on our turn, right? So there's either we overblock here and let him Mask of Momentum. Yeah, he's dead, right? I don't care about him getting an extra card. I'm going to get punished, and it's going to be like Lava Burst, and I'm going to have to block anyways, right? I probably should have blocked for 3. I'm getting a little cocky with the... Yeah, see, this is me getting way too cocky. Oh well. I see if I block 3 here, on that one doesn't make any difference. So that, I think, not that I didn't make any other misplays this game, but obviously that was by far the largest misplay, because we gave him the extra damage anyways. Yeah, there was no reason not to block for 1 there, or spread out my blocking and not just throw 4 at the front here. So I do think he's probably dead no matter what here because of this Hunt's End, and he is just going to have to block for like 1,000,000 this turn. But I did throw away roughly like 3 life, 2 to 3 life, because of blocking badly on that turn. But like I said, I think, yeah, the Fire and Brimstone turn actually did bail me out here because it bailed me out from my own misplay. Getting so much value last turn helped me not die to my misplay the previous turn. The lesson is basically I didn't need to, probably shouldn't have blocked. I should have blocked like maybe 1 less earlier or something, and so I could have stopped the 3rd chain link. I'm being a bit too easy going about the Mask of Momentum this game. Dun, dun, dun. And now he's got to think deeply about every blocking decision. I mean, the best case scenario is he overblocks pretty heavily, and I pledge fealty to jump around it. Okay, so he didn't overblock. So how much does this take it to? I believe that's 10. So he'll take 6 and go to 1. And then he'll have to give me a card, which is quite nice. I could also pledge fealty, deal 2 damage, and then this would be lethal, and he might not block here. The question is, what's more damage? This doesn't kill him no matter what, because he'll always block, and I can't kill him with pledge fealty. This could kill him, because he could say no blocks. So I think we'll play on the could kill him path. He's most likely going to block on the next attack, so I'm not saying it's definitely not going to kill him. I think it's pretty unlikely it kills him, but we're going to find out. If he says no blocks, then we get to kill him, which is nice. He probably gives Tunic here, gives something. Oh, Tunic still kills him, actually. See, like I said, he's going to give a card. The nice thing about if he gives a card is that we can also just say no blocks with Hunt's End and arsenal it, which is probably the more correct pathway here. This is where the game gets kind of grinded out because he's going to start blocking, so he's not going to do as much damage. And then I'm going to have to just bluff him 1,000,000 times with reacts. But he loses Mask here, which is pretty significant. He's giving up all his Fridge except Tunic. He's going to probably get a decent turn off because I think he's going to have Tunic plus Dragon Scalar Flight Path. We will just let that go through because we don't kill him with the Hunt's End. Arsenal Hunt's End. Pretty decent blocking hand again. Most likely just going to keep the Blistering Blade, but also we don't have to keep any of this. So he's most likely not going to get any points of damage through. Unless he's got a cheeky Razor Reflex, which I don't expect. That's something. So there is a logic to potentially using Shelter here. It's 1 less value overall, but I don't want to go too low. But I think it's fine. I think I'd rather get the full 4 value if I can from it. I've been so cocky at the end here. You can just watch me die to being too cocky. So, I mean, I do think Sheltering was maybe better. So what's he doing the rest of this turn? He's going... If it's a pitch card, I mean, there's a decent chance he's going the double Searing Ember Blade, and then a Phoenix Flame for 1. I think is like maybe the most likely scenario if this is a blue. So then he's going 6-2. So if I can block 2 here, and then just do 3-3, and then take the 1 from the Phoenix Flame, seems reasonable. That's what I'm gonna guess the scenario is, and if it's not, we'll adapt around it. Having a D-React here is pretty nice, since I can't be too surprised by anything in particular. Searing Emberblade. Yeah, we will block for 3 on that. What's our last card? Phoenix Flame for 1. That's fine. I've been so cocky this game at the end here. I'm going to die for it. And then Inflame the Firebrand for, what is that, 4? Okay, just to be clear, I don't think I'm missing anything he could do. No, right? There's nothing he can do at the end here. I'm not being crazy. I always get start psyoping myself at the end of games. This thing is probably common in Flesh and Blood. Start being like, oh, they can kill me somehow. Like, he's gonna suddenly deal 1 damage out of nowhere with no cards in hand and no equipment and no resources floating. But I start believing that he can. So I could have taken he could have presented 2 more damage that turn and I would have been okay, since I had the Blistering Blade. It's unlikely with the amount of cards he had in hand that he could have done that even. And now we can do just an insane 2-card hand. I mean, it's 6 into 5, so it's +1 here, so it's a 2-card 12 essentially. 6 value per card. 6 value per card is pretty good in Flesh and Blood. So he's gonna have to block this card. I'm going to deal 3 here. So okay, so there's I could also just try to kill him. I don't think I've seen a D-React this whole time. So if I just pump it 2 more, it's at 8 and it kills him. That's probably the correct line. The higher value line is obviously going here. This becomes way more value, but like, what are the odds he has a D-React? Yeah. So it's also an important thing to consider in Fang in matchups like this. Like, this is obviously like the Blistering Blade is so much more value on the second one, because this is for 6, and then if I Blistering Blade here, it's for 5. So this becomes essentially a 1-card 4 on this, buffing the attack from 1 to 5. Here it's only getting 2 value, which is way less. But if I just dealt the 3 here, took him to 2, and then swung here, what if he blocks like 5? I mean, he probably isn't going to. He probably is going to say like no blocks, or just block with Tunic, which he's dead either way. But if he blocks for 5, I Arsenal the Blistering Blade. He arsenals the Art of War, Phoenix maybe. Maybe his next hand is really gas, and maybe his next hand is really gas. Maybe my next hand doesn't do anything. Yeah, my next hand's pretty good. But, you could stumble from there if you give him the chance. Here, if he has a D-React, it sucks, but I mean, what are the odds Phi is playing a D-React into me, and I haven't seen a single one so far. So that game, I had some weird situation early, right? We had this Pledge Fealty turn 0 where he also ended up dealing 6 damage and not arsenaling. So started at Wizard life totals, but with a Fealty and the opponent having no arsenal. I had a bit of awkwardness mixed with good luck where I was able to get to 3 Fealties on my very first turn, but had to pitch 2 reds, so I kind of lost 3 life through that. And then later in the game, I made that misplay with not blocking the Mask Momentum. So I don't know if I had any other misplays. I'm sure I did, but that's the one that's most obvious. I'd like to get something that's not Phi. Again, we're going to start a lobby again. And then just keep watching on our second screen here. Would love to get a Verdance or a Mario. If we get another Phi, that's fine. I mean, it's a good example of what I think are the top decks. Although maybe I should have removed Phi from the options, because we'll probably get a Phi. The chaos of switching between Talishar screens as we try to find specific matchups. If it's one more Phi, that's fine, but then we'll definitely not go for a third Phi after that. Reinar, sir, you were not one of the options. Sorry, friend. Not to be rude, but it was a very clear title, I think. Let's take Phi out of this. I feel like it's... Is this not my Metaphi version? It should be my Metaphi version. If it's not, let me know. I thought my Metaphi was the constantly updated one. Ah, there we go. We got a Verdance. If not, I can add it to the Metaphi. It's what I wanted it to be. Hit him with the classic hello, good luck, have fun. So against Verdance, we're going to hope to get carried by the Dynastic Diadem. We're taking out most of the stuff. Definitely Blunton, definitely Hunt to the Ends of Wraith, and then we've got the cuts from the same cloth out as well. And we're going to find out how this goes. Haven't gotten to practice this matchup more than once after Compendium. So at first I was like, man, it's free now with the item. But I always cope way too hard on Fang, so I doubt saying it's free is realistic. And Verdance got support of her own. You know, these new arms, Elemental Strike like this, letting him start off strong. So it's interesting. Keeping the blue is cool, but I kind of like the idea of blocking Smoldering Steel, Sink, and then sinking the Last Ditch Effort for the very small scenario that we second cycle. It's kind of cool to have a Last Ditch Effort on the bottom. Oh, this hand could be really good if I draw a resource card, which I just bottomed, of course. Oh, that's annoying. Pretty decent starting hand from him. Oh, we drew the resource card? Wait. And we get to pitch a Last Ditch Effort with the Last Ditch Effort? I mean, I think it's insanely unlikely that it goes all the way around. The Metaphi version is not updated to what I'm playing today. Okay, I need to update the Metaphi. I will do that after this live stream. Apologies for that. So we're going to go for the Smoldering Steel. And then we're going to try to go for a Long Whisker Loyalty on hit mark. It's Verdance, so they're playing like at least 9 0 for 4D reacts, so the odds that this actually hits and marks is pretty low. But if it happens, it's quite good. But at least we're hoping to... I mean, it'd be nice to bait out the D-React here. Okay, well, we did get a D-React out. Like I said, they're playing 1,000,000, so there's decent odds that he's got another one in hand. But he might not, in which case he misplayed by blocking with it there. If he has the second one, buff power and mark, please. If he has the second one, then yeah, it is what it is. We have to grind through them as Fang. They're usually on Shelter, Sink, and Fate. Let me see if I can open the Metaphi on a second screen right now. Try to add this link to it. Sorry that it's not on here. Yeah, he has the second one. Not a huge surprise. So we're just going to Arsenal the 4th Drakai. We will find a mark onto him eventually. So not a surprise there. I mean, it's unfortunate. Whoa, holy shit. What is going on right now? This is one of the weirdest, probably the weirdest hand we've seen in these 2 games. I mean, this is like a pray he blocks hand, because otherwise the second glint is pretty awkward. This is such an odd hand. If one of these, if there was like a way to, if this was like a Scar Tissue red, this hand would be pretty insane. Version ID. Let's update that link. Oh, I think the Metaphi link. Why can I not copy this? I think it should be the right list, but just with a certain version ID. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna update it to the correct one right now. Are they thinking still, or is my Talishar frozen? Okay, let's just start with the Pledge Fealty. Go from there. I mean, worst case scenario, we hold the glint, which is annoying, but also not like the end of the world in the sense that we get to keep a resource card. Okay, well, we're gonna cycle it and see what we get. I suppose that people watch, like the person, I doubt that's happening, but since my name is Bagel TCG on here, someone could check the live stream, which would be hilarious. It'd be so funny for me if someone cared enough about winning their Talishar game to check a live stream. Beast TCG is insane. That is such a great call. Okay, I have updated the Metafy. I kept the old link because that is like the one that the Metafy is discussing at the moment, but then I added a link to this, which is my constantly updated one that changes like daily. So we have an option to also pitch this Glint if he doesn't block with anything from hand, to pitch it to a second Vigor. I think that's worth it. It's funny because on the bottom of our deck is 2 Last Ditch Effort and then 2 Glint, which could actually be quite good if we ever get that far in the game. Yeah, we'll do it. I mean, it's pretty inefficient. We get 1 value out of this Glint here, but I would have loved, like I said, for it to be a Scar Tissue or something, but here we are. Bit of an awkward draw. Oh, what is going on? What are these hands? Where's the reaction deck? What do I even do with this hand? What the hell? The deck's kind of poo-pooing itself here. Yeah, we get a 4 block. That's kind of nice. But we're going to lose both these Vigors because we're just swinging with 4 the Jakai on our turn. Could be better. We'd love to see it be better. Oh, and it's a light up the leaf, so we're just getting no value. Yeah, so I think this matchup could be favored, but when you draw hands like this, it's probably not. Probably not. Also, a reason, like, if this was the I mentioned at the beginning, that instead of the 3rd Last Ditch Effort, I was heavily considering one of Relentless Pursuit. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to control which one's which, but hypothetically, since this is our 3rd copy, if this one was a Relentless Pursuit, that would be much better, because then we can Relentless Pursuit, play the 4 the Jakai. In the hand, we're still IPing this Hunt's End, but then next turn we have it a live Hunt's End, which is quite good. So, yeah, instead here we're IP2'd because we drew pretty horrible hands there. Pretty horrible. So we're going to need a bit to come back. Yeah, still no react. I don't know what's going on in this game. It's so odd. Okay, gains life. Just Waning Moon me? If he Waning Moons, we're just going to Shelter from the Storm and get some value from this. Yeah, otherwise the Shelter is not doing anything. Seems fine. And we can block with... yeah, unfortunately we have to swing this for the Jakai, but we're probably going to block with some other cards here. Probably block with For the Realm, Last Ditch Effort, and just do like a greedy arsenal of this Hunt's End. We've been drawing pretty horribly, so I don't expect to mark him anytime soon. I mean, he's also, like, I'm drawing so bad that he's doing weird shit like this. So it's not like I'm the only one drawing badly. We do have to also remember, like, of course, I'm going to take a lot of arcane damage over the game, but we have to see what he's played. He's already seen 1 Burn Bear, 1 Light Up the Leaves. Okay. It's not great that he's saying no blocks. Oh, we're just having the weirdest hands. What is that, a go again? So, how does this hand go, we think? I kind of want to sink this Scar Tissue, because if we can find, like, I mean, this is greedy, but if we can find, like, an Affirm Loyalty or even a Searing Gaze, something that's a second Chain Link hit, or Long Whisker Loyalty, that's much better. The Scar Tissue is fine, but we kind of have to keep the Oath of Loyalty to be our Draconic card. So I think we're going to go sink here, hoping to find something better with this Scar Tissue. The Scar Tissue is fine, like I said, but it just has some anti-synergy in this hand. Can I go to reactions, please? Typically, I try to fridge every piece of physical damage, but there will definitely be more this game, and there's no 1 block I want to use on these armor at the moment, so we're just going to be sinking. Where do I think Fang sits in this meta in the hands of a skilled player like myself? Well, it's very nice of you, but I don't know how skilled I am. Do you think there is any chance he could win a calling with Acilio being the best deck? Chance? Oh, Talishar, what the hell? Is there a chance? I suppose there's always a chance. Is it going to happen? Well, what just happened? Oh, that turned him online. That's pretty cool. Is there a chance? Maybe. I think it's unlikely that he wins. You have to get a pretty specific gem to win with Fang. I think Fang is pretty favored into Mario. I think Verdance should be favored if you don't draw like how I'm drawing right now. You've been living it up with me with these pretty insanely horrible draws. Oh, well, he gave me 2 cards for 1. 2 cards, quote unquote. I mean, it's a ponder, but so I mean, oh, bro, what am I drawing? I mean, I get online, but at what cost? Oh my god. This is just like a dumpster fire. Yeah, I was saying the Verdance matchup should be good, but not always. Man, if I had a resource card here, this hand's like fantastic. And I just drew like, you saw me drawing like the million resource cards. Sometimes you draw like this. Typically, I think the Verdance matchup is quite solid for Fang right now, but sometimes situations like this occur. I think we are just going to have to pitch an Affirm Loyalty to an attack with an Affirm Loyalty and cry ourselves to sleep or something like that. Man, that's abysmal. I hope his Ponder draw is hard to Fiendal. But it's probably like another felling or something like that with how this game's been going. He only has 1 more felling. Could be worse. So, sorry, I'm taking a long time to answer your question because I'm also playing, trying to make sure I don't make too many mistakes this game. I think the matchup, I think he is good outside of Acilio. I think Fang is in a decent place. I think he can win a large portion of his games. He's got play into most matchups if his deck functions, except Acilio. I think Acilio is pretty unwinnable. I think generally, though, the field is passable for Fang. It could be better. It could also be a lot worse. Oh, thank God for Pledge Fealty. It could also be a lot worse. If this is all he's doing this turn, I'm quite happy. This, something like that. Item, play Pledge Fealty in response, Shelter from the Storm on top of it. Why does he have so many cards in hand? What could he be doing after this? Like, is he gonna Storm Striders or something? What does he have that's an instant? Maybe he just has a bunch of gain life to discard. Because otherwise I don't know what's happening. I think Fang, if you dodge Acilio, could win a calling. I think he can definitely win like some pro quests. We're just gonna play this right now. Headpiece is nice. We're almost out of armor for the game, so we've been using it quite aggressively, as you can tell. So the life deficit is actually more severe than it looks. Yeah, he's gonna bot me. See a multiple, yeah. So the life's it's quite a big life deficit at the moment. But that's okay. Temporal Wobble, I think, was a huge mistake to print. Yeah, I think Temporal Wobble. Mistake is a strong word, but I do think. I don't know if it is a card that should belong in Flesh and Blood. I think up to this point we haven't had a single viable counterspell, and I think that has made the game feel smoother. Of course, into Wizard, you're often passing priority in a different way than most Flesh and Blood games go, since they do have instants at a higher quantity. He probably has a react for this, so I assume I'm not gonna hit, but oh, went through, nice. We're hoping to bait him to block here. I would love if he blocked for 3 when I'm just going to Sigil of Solace. But I don't think this play... I think this is a good Verdance, from what I can tell so far. Yeah, I think the game was kind of better off with no counterspells. Interesting, yeah. I think this Verdance is quite good. So the life deficit is close. I'm not going to say it's good. I'm probably getting Plow Undered here, which is going to be sad, because then I'm not going to draw a reaction. We did draw a reaction. Okay, so that's nice. Hold on, let's... Sorry, friend. I meant to shelter in response. Yeah, Amulet of Echoes is not even really viable. Yeah, I was going too fast. Sorry, that's why I skipped over that shelter. Amulet of Echoes isn't really viable. Yeah, this is annoying because he can Waning Moon in response now. No, he's not going to. Okay, that's good. That's why we play Shelter into Verdance for what it's worth, because it's like one of our only ways to interact with Arcane. This hand's good on offense or defense. Not great on offense. I'd rather block a little here, but... Okay, we are going to get to block. So this is where we hopefully start grinding the game out in our favor. You know, we're going to take only 1 damage over the course of this turn and then swing with like a essentially 0 for 6 value. But he still has a plenty of arcane damage that can come through. So we're going to have to essentially block every point of physical damage from now on, or as close as we can. Of course, we took 1 physical damage that turn, because he's got, you know, plenty of pings from like life gain that he can get through, but mostly it's these. He's only used 2, so he's got 4 left. So he's got 24 arcane damage, which is enough to kill me. I have 2 Sigil of Solace left, so it's technically not enough to kill me. Well, if he gives me 2 cards, I'm so happy here because of the Tooth of the Dragon. This, I think, is typically the best way to play Fang, is like keeping 1 of each option. Because now, like, this Tooth of the Dragon's a little inefficient, but we can come in with this Blistering Blade. So let's consider here, if I Tooth the Dragon, the most I can do is 4 damage on the next one. But if he's got a 4 block D-React, he'll probably just use it and I'll do no damage. If I Blistering Blade, I'll get 2 for sure, and then I'll swing for 1. If he blocks it, then I get, you know, he'll give me 2 cards in this, he'll give me another card in the same way, but I will have done no damage. I'll have done 2 damage, I should say. So I think we're going to Blistering Blade. If he had blocked more, we would have Tooth of the Dragon. Technically, of course, we're losing 1 value on the Blistering Blade here. But I like Tooth of the Dragon as like a... It's always fun to Arsenal Tooth of the Dragon or Pledge Fealties to play around, stuff like that. But he's playing very, like, what I would consider aggressive for Verdance. Typically, Verdance block way more than this. So it's quite a lot of blocking for a Verdance to be doing. The Elemental Strikes, of course, don't deal much to us damage-wise because of how good we are at blocking. But they sure are good at... well, this is going to deal damage because it's got Dominate. But I was going to say they sure are good at getting them to have a lot of cards in their Decompose options. Okay, we're going to have to take 2 from this because we can't block any further. Like I said, we really want to block as much physical damage as we possibly can. And here we're going to take a good chunk of Arcane. Once again, can't do anything about that. So it's getting scary, of course, because, yeah, we haven't drawn another Sigil. We really need to find our second Sigil because now with Storm Striders, he needs to find 2 more of these effectively to kill me because of Waning Mood on my turn. So it's definitely getting sus. I would say this is in the bottom 10%-ish of damage that we typically see out of this. We're just doing this because it's the most efficient use of these cards. Of course, I would have rather blocked for 2 if that Colors of Warrior didn't have Dominate. But we are just trying to be as efficient as possible with our cards. So that was, you know, one of those 2 essentially only got 3 value. The other one got the 4, which is fine. This kind of inefficient use of bark skin for him. We're just going to take the extra damage here. We don't care as much about the mark, realistically. Like I said, we're really just praying to find the Sigil of Solace. Ooh, okay, so this is pretty bad for us. Of course, we have to take that. Does it amp on both turns? Your action phase. Okay, so he can't kill me technically next turn. We are doing a mark. Start with this. Just take the mark on it so that we could potentially have Saber Bloodshed on for the draw. We have this kind of high roll here. Like, we need to draw some stuff. This also plays around like a 0 for 4 D-React, okay. Hello, game. My Talishar freezes so often. I don't know if you guys get this same issue. But, I mean, I'm clicking here. I think there's a bug. Yeah, I usually have to, like, text chat to make it continue. Okay, so, yeah, because, I mean, of course, the +2 is better in damage, but I think taking 2 less damage for the potential of drawing a card is quite nice. We're going to see what he's got. Okay, he gets marked. Now we try to claim that mark, if you can call it that. And then we're just going to dump both of these. It's not the best value from the yellow scar tissue. But we don't want to get stuck with it after drawing a card. Interesting. I suppose, I mean, we just have to hope he has some physical damage and I'm going to get value from the sink below. The best draw is like the other Sigil of Solace here. So it's most likely we're dead, right? One can assume we're dead. He's going to have some massive arcane and then he'll Storm Striders for arcane. What? Well, I was going to say, he must kill me here. So I think this is one of the more unfavored ways that this can go, like I was saying. I don't think it's a free matchup. I think it's probably either 50-50 or slightly unfavored for Fang, but my stumbling early was pretty rough, especially that felling when I needed to keep that whole hand. Yeah, he's got the Burn Bear here, so unless he draws no arcane next turn, which there's a chance he draws no arcane. So I think it's best for him to Waning Moon here if he's not planning on it. If I was him, I would Waning Moon. Taking me to 2 means anything kills me with Waning Moon. But we're most likely dead. I mean, I think it's unlikely we aren't dead. Storm Striders are a beautiful, beautiful card. I would love to rematch this, actually, because I like I said, I think this matchup could be unfavored, but I don't think it's guaranteed unfavored. This hand does a lot of damage. If we had more life and hadn't had so much stumbling earlier, it would be beautiful. So, I mean, we'll see that, you know, I could have gotten this game close, but in the end, it wasn't. Because I'm almost certainly dead to Storm Striders. The Channel Millennium Tree was pretty significant here as well. See, I've considered playing some Arcane Polarities for this matchup. I don't think that's the right line. I wonder if he'll let us rematch, because I would love to see how this ends up going in the end after a few games. So he's not even dead here. He had so much life. And then I'm certainly dead to some arcane in the next turn or two. He might not even have drawn any arcane this turn, but you know, he'll draw arcane next turn. Or he'll draw right. He'll just kill me with Arcane right here. Yeah, so he just Waning Moons. Yeah, so didn't end up getting that. Oh, interesting. Well, he guarantees kills me with this. Oh, I guess he's considering that. I could, of course, have the Sigil of Solace. The funny thing is, technically, I could sink into a Sigil of Solace now, and then this would have been a significant misplay from him. We are going to bottom. So what are we doing? We have to block for 8. So we're blocking with Diadem, Dynamos, and then 2 of these 3s. Oh no, sorry, we have Sync below. So we're blocking with Dynamo for the Realm and Sync. So it doesn't really matter if we keep Blistering or Scar Tissue. I suppose we will bottom Scar Tissue. In the end, this doesn't matter. Oh yeah, we're syncing this loyalty, duh. Oops. Because we're praying for a Sigil of Solace. No, didn't find it. Once again, like I said, I mean, I don't know how we lived that, but we should certainly be dead at some point from Stormstriders. We should have a Sigil of Solace left in the deck, right? I mean, he just... No. I'm surprised he hasn't killed me from Arcane yet, but sometimes these games can drag out like this. But in the end, I think it was a fairly close game, and I had a huge stumble early. We're going to go for the kill. I mean, I'm either dead or getting de-reacted, so... Interesting that he's pitching this, but I suppose he has a second one. Yeah. Good game. I would love a rematch. So we're just... Oh. I think maybe going first could be better. Let's go first. I do think the deck setup is right. We're going to hope to draw a little better this time. We're going to maybe try to mark. I doubt it's going to happen, but we're definitely going to go for it. You go first as Fang in matchups where mostly when they want to go first, like Verdance prefers going first pretty drastically. So that's a reason to take it away from them. But also because sometimes you'll draw Sigil of Solace or Pledge Fealty, and it's nice to get those off without any really significant response from the opponent. In this circumstance, I'm helping him in the sense that I'm letting him block with Earth cards, which has a significant issue with it. But the only other option is to like just pass an Arsenal Sync below or one of the other cards, which would be fine. But I like the idea of just kind of hoping to get a Vigor or hoping to get a a mark off here. Like I said, I don't expect to get any of it, but. We get 1 damage? No. We get no damage. So one must assume that he's going to block for 3 here. In which case, probably pass, no? It's not going to connect. We will Arsenal the Searing Gaze. Yeah, getting the first mark onto a Verdance is kind of the start of the issue. Can he decompose? No, right? He just has like, yeah, Verdance going second can have some massive amounts of awkwardness to it. I think we're going to try and sink into this, sink this like for the realm into something nicer. Since we don't have it marked yet, I would love to get a Pledge or an Affirm or an Oath or something. So we're just going to kind of YOLO sink. There's definitely options worse than this for the realm, but we are hoping not to hit them. Say the Scar Tissue is pretty nice. Okay. Let's see if we can get a mark in here. Or even create a fealty, that'd be lovely. So we're going to give it a go again and try to get a mark through on a 7. He didn't block, so he needs to double D-react, which is of course certainly possible with how many D-reacts this deck plays. Double D-react would be unfortunate, you know, trading 2 cards for 2 cards essentially. But either way, I think this line's solid enough value for us. There's 1 D-react. Let's see if we get a second D-react. It is nice that we can't be scoured anymore. Although, to be honest, I don't think Scour was the scariest part about this matchup. It was the arcane damage. Okay, we get the Scar Tissue through for the mark. We get to make a Vigor. Oh, that's quite nice. We're going to refresh Dynamos. So there's an interesting idea here. If he gives me a 3 block, I think we'll let it go. Yeah, I mean, why would we throw? We're never going to send 4 into a 4 like that. He gets his first Decompose off here. This is pretty significant that we found a 4 the Drakai. So what we can do here, we can block like this, take 1. We can try to go for Oath into a weapon hit with Searing into 4 the Drakai, which is the highest roll of that possible line. The much safer line is blocking 9 with the other cards and just sending a 1 for the Drakai. But because of the Vigor, it actually makes our line much more high rolly and just more value. I mean, it's 4/4/4, so pretty good value here. He's kind of incentivized to let me hit the mark here, which is even nicer. Yeah, so that's a fealty already, which is really amazing. So even if he stops the mark here, which is somewhat unfortunate, I actually don't mind that much. Getting the first fealty, like being able to make them in an uncomfortable position where they have to give you a fealty, is quite good. So, and we have 3 pledge fealties left in the deck, so either this hits or doesn't. I don't care too much. The only downside of this line is no Valiant Dynamo refresh, but they don't swing physical every turn. So even though this is only 1 value in damage, it does have the potential to mark, which makes it worth it here. Interesting that he's not using the Elemental Strike. I suppose he doesn't, you know, it's not going to get him the 4th, so he's not going for it. I really like the art and like I like Elemental Strike a lot just as a card. I don't play it, but everything it does I think is so cool. I like the art. I like that you get to pitch different things for different effects. Or, sorry, banish different things. I think the cards are really cool. Yeah, Mental Block here is quite nice. He's going to lose the second value from it because we are going to be passing. Yeah, of course, for the Drakai could swing, but at this point it would only deal 3, and he's not marked, so it's not really worth it. Ooh, that's quite nice that he's going to force me to bottom the card. This hand's pretty interesting. I think we might want to keep this Scar Tissue and just swing a 4 the Drakai. What's the other options? There's a world where we like pitch a red to Scar Tissue using the fealty for 5 and then try to swing a 4 the Drakai after. Giving up Fire and Brimstone is always quite an unfortunate feeling considering how important the card is for the deck. Almost makes me want to Arsenal it and just take an extra damage here, which I think is what we're going to do. Just let him deal 1 here. It's a nice Plowwinner, but he does have to pitch 2 reds for it, so it doesn't feel as bad. Technically, we got a little punished for not refreshing the Dynamos there, but it's also, like I said, not the end of the world. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, just trading cards. That's all right. We're kind of waiting to find our pledge fealties. Or to some better hands, because that hand was quite bad. Finding a Fire and Brimstone is pretty nice. Would be nice if he was marked. It's interesting. He just doesn't get his effect, right? Or I should say like the Verdance hero ability. Elemental Strike on the bottom, huh? This is gonna be just for 7. What are we considering doing with this hand? I mean, the only real option is just to, I guess, like try to mark with this Long Whisker Loyalty. The hand's pretty awkward. Once again, no resource card is quite a punish. Yeah, it's probably just like pitch Saber Bloodshed for Long Whisker. And that is what it is. Because of the way that their deck is so heavy on 4-block D-reacts, they typically don't block when you attack with the first dagger. Not that it never happens, but you know, it's not common for Verdance to block the first one because they are typically holding a 0 for 40 react, and you know, if I'm gonna pump this to 4 with Long Whisker, why would he block? He's gonna do a 4-block react. But that means I can go for a mark on hit here, just to try to get us closer to 3 fealty. And you know, if he is the 0 for 40 react, nothing changes because he's stopping the damage either way. If he doesn't have the D react, we get the mark. So it's kind of a nice either way for us. Yeah, it's fine. No pledges this game, so we are running a little behind on getting to 3 fealty, but he hasn't quite found his arcane damage, and he's still waiting to get online as well, so we're both kind of dirtling a bit. I would say these are pretty low draw rates for my deck, I guess you could say. I draw much better typically. As you saw with the Fi game, that's kind of closer to the average-ish. For Fang, I'd say these are both sub 50% average draws, but this one's a little more reasonable so far. At least this game feels a little more reasonable. We didn't even find Fire and Brimstone last game. Not that we're necessarily going to get to keep it. Yeah, and this is what I was saying. Like, he's going to do this probably even if this was for 4. So nothing has been lost, and we had the potential to hit with the mark. So if you think they're going to 0 for 40 react, or if they're representing it, just Long Whisker with the mark. It also sometimes like psyops them into thinking like, hey, maybe I shouldn't just block it. Oh, this hand's so interesting. The Hunt's End is pretty unfortunate, but Long Whisker here is pretty nice. Ah, see, and he has the plow, so the Fire and Brimstone's gone anyways. Oh well, it happens. Once again, has to pitch 2 reds for it, so he's drawing a bit awkwardly too. So some options here. I mean, the most simple line is just doing like Saver, putting a Long Whisker on it, pitching this Scar Tissue. There's a world where we should be arsenaling this Hunt's End, but I don't think it's the world we're in. I think it's probably this. Just go for the simple line. We are both dirtling a lot. I'm not sure that the last-ditch efforts are really like the card for this matchup, but there's not really like any Verdance hate cards you can play. The deck is hard to hate out. Yeah, this game's been very super dirtily. He's almost online. He's been kind of dirtling getting there as well. I mean, that's one of the downsides of their deck playing so many D-reacts. Like, none of these can be decomposed. We are going to go for the mark again. You know, of course, like I said, it's not the best value, but our deck is here to try to get online, not just to get value. He's probably going to have Sync plus Mental Block, which is pretty amazing if he's got that. I was going to say, if he's got that, he's just the GOAT. Typically, I would go for a Vigor here, but the fact that this, you know, hitting with this makes it so he really wants to give me at least a piece of armor or something, because hitting draws and refreshes Dynamo. If it was just a Dynamo refresh, I think the Vigor might be better, but the fact that this also represents a draw is pretty massive. So he has to give me equipment or a card to prevent that, which, for the fact that I spent nothing on this, just a resource, that's the power of Saber Bloodshed. Not that we typically get it off in Fang. I think it's pretty rare for Fang to get Saber Bloodshed off. But it just makes them block when they don't really want to. Like, if there was no Slaver Bloodshed here, there would be no reason for him to block for one. Oh, he seemed like he was blocking with two things. But, yeah, he has to give me a card, which is correct. I mean, he should definitely block, but it just feels bad for him, right? What the fuck? What is going on here? I'm scared of this hand. So, as you can see, I'm not very good at drawing cards. Would like to improve my ability to draw cards if possible. Yeah, dude, this hand is... I just got blown out by how garbage my hand is. Can you imagine if one of these was a pledge fealty? Different game. So, like, just getting super punished here because I'm not good at drawing cards. The fact that we only run 12 resource cards and we drew 3 in one hand is pretty miserable. It is it's nice that he gives me an extra card here just because he's trying to stop me from hitting mark. That's nice. It's nice that Overcrowded has ambush. We're essentially only IP1, which is better than it could be. Felling, huh? Okay, so what are we felling, putting to the bottom? It's a good question, actually. I think we're giving a bunch of armor and putting the Hunt's End to the bottom. Because we need to keep the blue in the tooth, and we really want to have the life. So what are we at? That's gonna have +1. We're gonna take 1 damage. Sigil is also our best card to Arsenal because of Plow Under. It's like basically the only card in the game that plays around Plow Under. One of the very few that does. Yup. Crown of Providence, huh? But we really can never let Sigil of Solaces go with Fang against Verdance since they're our way against Arcane. This guy seems to be so good at reading me. It's like he knows every react I have. Okay. 3rd mark acquired. We haven't seen a pledge fealty yet, so we're pretty likely-ish to see one. This hand worked okay for me. 1 felling down. That's crazy that we're not seeing any pledges, though. Okay, that's pretty awkward for him. That's good for me. So there's a I think we shelter this because this shelter is getting no value otherwise. No, we don't shelter that. We're gonna Arsenal this shelter. We are going to Arsenal that shelter. So here we're gonna go for this because if my math is right, it's for 5, which is a fairly inefficient number for him to stop. And it gets him our last mark. Last mark meaning it's the one that will hopefully get us to our 3rd fealty, so that's relevant. That is relevant. He's in the stream. I mean, I hope he's not in the stream. I would like to think someone wouldn't stream snipe to win something that the whole point is you're practicing, right? So I'm choosing to believe he's not in the stream. I think it's unlikely. Also, I don't think I'm a big enough channel that people are gonna like see Bagel TCG and know what to do. So this hand plays itself essentially. The only decision I had was to shelter to block 1, but because of Sigil of Solace and the fact that we've seen 2 Plow Unders, I'm just hoping he doesn't find the 3rd anytime soon and we can get some blocking value from this shelter. At least more than nothing. Oh, is he going to let us get online here? That's pretty nice if that's the case. No, he shelters. It's also quite nice that I got value here, right? Because he's sheltering to stop 4, where stop 2 damage, where he could have stopped 4 on the previous chain link. So now we are finally ahead on life. Wow, these hands are so weird. So, I mean, actually, the best case scenario here is that he just swings arcane damage because our hand doesn't block very well. The worst case scenario, he's got felling. Okay, so if he's just doing that in Waning Moon, that's kind of nice. It's so funny that we've seen over half our deck and we haven't seen a Pledge Fealty. I mean, who needs Pledge Fealty anyways, right? It's not like it's the whole point of our deck. Getting blown out. What are we bottoming? Scar Tissue, I guess. This guy's so good at video games. It's a good thing we arsenaled that shelter. This might be one of the few rare circumstances in which we pitch a sigil. We'll find out. Having the vigor there was pretty significant, actually. Like, having a vigor is huge this turn. I'm not sold that we need to pitch the sigil. Like, it's not an unreasonable line just to, like, accept that we're not going to get online this hand. So one option is Tooth and then pitch sigil for this, guarantee we're online. The other option is, you know, just put it to 4, see if there's a chance that he lets us have the third fealty, sigil to gain the life, and then arsenal the Tooth, which is also a reasonable line. He's seen almost every one of his D-reacts. He's got 2 fates left if he's playing the full 3. So here, I think Tooth is fine because he's most likely to, after he passes, he's most likely to D-react. And if I pumped it to 4, it wouldn't change anything, right? Ooh, and we get online. This is massive because now we get to swing here, and we get to pick based on what he does. So really, if he does nothing, yeah, I'm more likely to affirm loyalty here. This gets us the 4th fealty, which means we can choose, if we don't draw any reacts that are draconic, we can get something back from that, and we get to arsenal the sigil again. So that was a pretty significant turn for us, the fact that he said no blocks. It does mean his hand's probably pretty good, like a channel or something. Yeah, now we're finding the pledge fealties. Because, of course, we are. Our hand's very aggressive. Very, very aggressive. So we're most likely playing the sigil and are going to arsenal one of these other cards. I would love to not have to block with the Hunsen, but I think it's likely we are. I mean, it's technically more value to play the Hunsen out and block with the affirm loyalty, so we are going to do that. Ooh, and a plow under, yeah. So then we're just going to go, poop, no plow for you. And once again, we really care about not taking physical damage. So even though this Hunsen's amazing on offense, we are not in the business of taking physical damage against Verdance. Like, we will play as inefficiently as we have to get around it. Also, to be fair, it's important to note that was his 3rd plow under. If he had more plow unders left, I would prioritize arsenaling this pledge fealty. As it is, the Tooth might be the better arsenal. Although, to be fair, neither matters which one we arsenal. But this game's going much better. It'd be interesting if we got to second cycle, because my second cycle is pretty decent with the Fire and Brimstone in there. But typically these games don't, because they just have enough arcane at some point to close it out, like with the Burn Bears and the what's it called, Light Up the Leaves and stuff like that. He's got he's played only 2 of them, so he does have enough arcane to kill me still. What we do here doesn't matter too much. We're just gonna go for the pledge, because why not? Of course, we're gonna draw pledge every hand now, by the way, because that is how our draws have been in this game. Like, we hit 3 fealty, and then we will draw a pledge every hand after that. That is the Fang life. Wow, not a pledge. Oh, wow, have we cycled all the way back around? This looks like a familiar hand. Ooh, interesting. Going for some damage here. Probably gonna Waning Moon and Arsenal, something like that. So it's getting set. The channel here is good. I am kind of leaning towards maybe changing the deck a little bit to have some arcane polarities in the sideboard, because they do seem like they would be pretty significant for this matchup. We've got some space because I don't think 3-4 the realm is exactly correct. I mean, so far we've seen in these games it hasn't been great, so maybe I'm playing 2 in the Verdance matchup, and I think these could reasonably be 2 arcane polarities. Because then, you know, imagine we have 4 more life here. Yeah, we're not dead. It depends how much arcane he's able to spit out in the next few turns. Our hand's decent. It could definitely be a lot better. We're definitely drawing our deck in a bit of the reverse order, like finding blues and pledges after we're online. Not the most comfortable way to draw it up. But it's also not the end of the world. I would love, this would have been amazing though to like swing back with a massive fire and brimstone hand here or something like that. But really, when you play card games, you have to get super used to just like not getting mad, if that makes sense. Like if I got mad every time I drew poorly, I would get mad in a lot, and that's not really how you should play card games. You should just be like, it happens, especially because I'm not in person event. Like maybe if you're like trying to, if it's the playoff of a calling or something, you can be kind of tilted, considering like this is one of the worst hands I could draw at this point. I think we're gonna go for like glint here on like the very off chance we draw like a for the emperor and can throw it out. No, we just drew like hot garbage. Oh well. We just drew hot garbage. Shelter, save me 1 life, please. Yeah, we're pretty dead soon. We're drawing pretty horrible. But it's okay. It happens. It's good to show how this matchup works, right? Like it's definitely, I think, an unfavored-ish matchup because of how much arcane there is. There's a significant question of would this matchup be different if we played AB1? Because I think you could reasonably play Null Rune Gloves. I don't know if we play enough resource cards to support that as the issue. Just like, I mean, sometimes we've been drawing so horribly. You can see Sun hands. We do draw enough resource cards to support that. But it's not very often that we do. It's not very often that we draw enough resource cards to support that. And let's be clear, I could die at any moment now. I'm at 5 life. And he has like all his big arcane damage cards left in his deck. No, I mean, that's not even a reason to play that. Why is this for 4? Oh, he bark skinned. I see. Yeah, I mean, we're like waiting for Sigil, but Sigil doesn't even make us live. I think we'll try switching out some for the Emperors for some arcane polarities after this. It's for 7. Let's go here. Sink the pledge. Pray we find the 3rd Sigil. It's the 3rd pledge. Yeah. Of course it would be the 3rd pledge. That's so funny, actually. Oh, wait, that's the 2nd time, right? I think we sunk earlier this game a red scar tissue and found a red scar tissue. That's really funny. We're just the goat at sinking into the same card that we don't want to see. I didn't even realize that. That is hilarious. Okay, well, we get him not even a little low. Maybe he'll never see arcane damage ever again. One can only hope, right? Yeah, I'm kind of dubious on the last-ditch efforts. Ooh, Shelter would be so nice here. Shelter would be so nice. I wonder if Poison the Well is the line. I hadn't even thought about Poison the Well till just now. Maybe that's not good enough. I mean, surely Poison the Well is not as good as Arcane Polarity. going to just do normal blocking, keep our most damage. We're just waiting room for him to kill us with Arcane, basically. But never give up, never surrender. Despite him assuredly having lethal in one of these next few hands, he's still got 3 of the big Arcane damage spells. Yeah, I don't think this game went fast enough. I do wonder if maybe Blaze Headlong... I typically hate Blaze Headlong as a card, but it's kind of interesting in this version of the deck. And I think one of the issues we're having in this game is we're not pressuring enough damage. Beep bop. It's interesting though, like Arcane Polarity would be a decent card as well. He's got the Arcane on his turn. I wonder if AB would be better. Maybe we try an Arcane Barrier. Just thinking about every time he Heartbeat of Candle holds, if I had a blue in my hand, it would be quite nice. It says Dominate? Why are we allowing that? In public? I mean, I'm assuredly dead, right? It's like felling or something crazy. Buff power. Wait, that's not fair. So cool. I really love the Colors of Aria plus Elemental Strike. I think that's really sweet. Yeah, he's got the Stormshires anyways. Bing bong. Good game. Okay, let's workshop this a little bit. Because I think this matchup, there's a way to make it good. I don't think these... Oh, why are we in a matchup still? Don't think these, even though they're like kind of my pet card, I don't think these For the Realms are it. I think the Last Ditch Effort is a little greedy. I think a Relentless Pursuit would suit us. See what I did there? Suit us better. Tooth the Dragon I'm kind of like on. If we could just play more blues, what if we just like played more blues to make the deck a little more consistent? If we have 3 slots, what if it was like another Relentless Pursuit, or like 2 more Relentless Pursuits, and Arcane Barrier 1? Is that copy? Or yeah, that seems kind of okay. So there's a few options. We go for that. We go for Arcane Polarities, which are a decent option. Or maybe we need to be more aggro with Blaze Headlongs, which I don't even have here because I hate that card so much. And there's also Poison the Well. So there's like a few different cards we could try out in this matchup. How much value does Poison the Well give us? The issue is it doesn't block, and the deck does present a lot of physical damage nowadays, which I think is my main issue of this card. But the highest value is they go for, like, they discard a Fruits of the Forest, and instead of gaining 2, they take 2, and they don't deal an Arcane. So it goes from 3 value from them to, this card essentially stops 3 and deals 2, so it's like a 0 for 5 against Fruits of the Forest. They're not really playing Sigil of Solace, which makes this card a little worse, I think that's probably what will convince me to not play it. Blaze Headlong is the next option. Kind of unsure on the value there. I mean, it's nice. I think if we were playing Sworn Vengeance, this would be good enough. But we're not, so let's try Nullrune Gloves and like 2 more Relentless Pursuits. Or so interesting. Maybe we do 1 Arcane Polarity and we're just kind of hedging in a few directions. There's not really a lot of other hate card options, is there? Let's go for that. You know, maybe we should be playing Den of the Spider in this matchup. I think that's maybe what we're one of the could be a significant thing we're missing, right? Because like we're not if you've been looking at these last few matchups, we're not really marking them fast enough. So like if we had these 3, and let's say we have these Relentless Pursuits in this Arcane Polarity. I mean, we're 1 card over, but what 3 cards would we cut? Tooth of the Dragon? It's a lot of D-reacts. So maybe we just only played 2 Den of the Spider. What is the last card we cut here? I mean, we don't need the last ditch efforts, right? But the blues is, I mean, the whole reason for the blues is to play with the Null-Rune Gloves. Okay, I'm not feeling the blues plus Null-Rune Gloves exactly. Let's go maybe here. Let's go just the 1 Relentless Pursuit like I was originally speaking about going to. And let's go another Arcane Polarity. Because, like, of course, sometimes that AB would be nice. But, like, how often is it going to draw up in a way that it works out like that? Host is more realistic, and then we're at 63 still, so we would need to cut 3 cards. Maybe we're cutting Sink Below? Is that crazy? I never cut Sink Below. But, like, Den of the Spider gets us online faster, and I think that's, like, the most important thing in the deck. Maybe we're just cutting Smoldering Steel. This is so weird. I mean, what's here that we didn't have before? These 3 Den of the Spider, right? But he buffs his power so often. And these 2 Arcane Polarities. Cut a Den of the Spider. So, okay, what if these were 2 more Relentless Pursuits and we had Null-Rune Gloves? But, like, where do we get the slots for that is the question. Sorry, I'm being so wishy-washy about this, but it's like I want to test too many things at once. I think the issue with Arcane Polarity is it's not always going to be online. I should just stick with one thing to test at a time. I'm being way too all over the place about what I want to test here. Okay, we are going to go more blues plus Null-Rune Gloves and just 1 Den of the Spider. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Let's try that out and see if we can maybe get a Verdance. I just want a Verdance, please. Once I like get in the vibe of testing something, I just want to test that matchup. I'm gonna quickly run to the restroom while I wait for a game here. Alrighty. Verdance, please. If anyone in chat wants to play Verdance against me, that would be cool as well. As long as you don't watch the stream at the same time. But I believe in you all. I know you wouldn't. This is one of my favorite things in Flesh and Blood is like trying to solve a matchup. You kind of tweak the deck, try different things out. You know, what happens if we're at, 13 resource cards plus null rune gloves? What happens there? What happens if that's wrong and we need arcane polarities? What happens if the Verdances don't show up for work today? So, because obviously the biggest issue with this matchup is the arcane barrier, right? Like the arcane damage. I think that's pretty clear. Not that I hate this competitive CQ, but I wish it would still show the hero or something, just because I want to know if it's Verdance. I would love to join that, but yeah, like the arcane is the issue. So you start thinking, how do I solve the issue of it being arcane? I'm like almost leaning towards like maybe we get rid of Savor Bloodshed at some point. The card's just slowly making me not as excited for it. Sometimes it's good. The fact that it's a flexible like pump 4 or block like that is nice, but maybe the extra resource cards are relevant enough. I just wish we had some resource cards that were more relevant when we were online, like the yellow scar tissue, that we could play at blue. The nice thing about AB is it lets us do something with those hands. Nope, you're not what I want. Sorry, friend. We really want to test into Verdance. It might be a while, folks. I don't think the Verdances are playing today. Any questions about the deck, maybe? I don't know how... There's 8 people watching. Oh, someone joined. They get priority. Hello. Wow, 2 Verdances shows up at once after I'm talking about no Verdance being around forever. So we're going to try the AB with the extra blues. It might still not be enough blues, but AB might be the right choice because there's a lot of pinks for 1. The shelters are like pseudo blues, but maybe not as flexible as a blue would be, actually. What we got going on here? Are we first or second? See, like if he wanted to go for arcane here, it does a little less than he could have. Maybe that's nice. We used to run Null Rune Hood, but obviously Diadem is so important that we can't go off that. We're never going to take out the Dynamos. So it's like between this, and I think Grains is a pretty key card in a lot of matchups. So Oros Magicians. I guess they're having a big think. Yeah, I will pitch to that. See, look, we saved 1 life having the Null Rune gloves. Maybe they are relevant. Not saying they definitely are, but that already feels kind of cool. How long has the stream been? I feel like we've been going for a while. Almost 2 hours. Wow, look at us go. Was that their best line? I'm sure. Oh, I guess they decided it wasn't. Oh, maybe he could have Waning Moon there? He definitely could have, right? It is, once again. Why is it passing through? Maybe. There we go. Sometimes Talishar can be a bit buggy. don't want people missing that. I hate when like you're in a practice game and it doesn't accurately represent how the game should go. Like I should be at 39 here, and if I didn't end up at 39 because of a Talishar bug, I'd be frustrated. This hand, yeah, I mean, look at this hand compared to our previous two Verdance games. Obviously, a Pledge Fealty would be the best, but this hand is so much better than what we've been seeing. It's already a nice difference to have. And this is like one of the better hands I could have. I do think it's almost like a high roll in the opposite direction. It's not the best hand you could have, but it's pretty solid. I like that Yukon Long Whisker still there. But very good hand here. Happy to see it. There's an option to play both. There's an option to just play one. And there's also a chance that none of these connect because the deck plays so many D-Reacts. But the fact that we can even represent it is quite nice. Yeah, so one stopped there. Because this one didn't mark, I think maybe we're a little more likely to play out the second one. Just because I'd really like to get a mark through here. But we will see. Well, you do have all three modes, so technically we get an extra swing, which is pretty fun. I think I'd rather have the Vigor if we get to connect. Yeah, this is actually quite significant because we get the extra swing. I mean, he'll probably just give me arms, but because we get the extra swing, we can use our resource to swing and have the mark on hit active there. It is funny how many D-Reacts the Verdances have nowadays. I mean, they've always had a lot, but... So this still has the mark active on hit, which is quite nice. So he can give me a card, he can just block with arms, but the mark active is still active there. Pretty amazing starting hand, I have to say. Like I said, not the best case scenario, you know, triple pledge is better, but it's a pretty good start. Yeah, now this is awkward, but depending what he goes for, I'm kind of okay blocking with everything. The nice thing about when you're not at any fealties yet is that you're not incentivized exactly to, you know, go for as much. Yeah, no blue here is kind of awkward. So what's he got? He's gaining a life, and he's going to hit me for 4 arcane. I don't think it's worth AVing. I think we're probably... just gonna like do a tooth hand and arsenal the den. Yeah, I don't think AB1 is worth here. Okay, let's just go for a tooth hand. An inefficient hand, but it is what it is. That's what Fang does early, right? Tooth. We might not deal any damage, but that's also is what it is. You know, we're taking cards, I guess. The most likely scenario is he's a D-React here, and we're just trading 3 cards for 2 cards, which is inefficient, but could be worse. Finally got water. Was talking the last like hour and a half without water. Okay, 3 cards for 3 cards. Now I'm quite happy with how this went. You know, we didn't deal any damage, but 3 cards for 3 cards when we're not online yet is especially when we have to pitch 2 reds, is about the best that can go. Ooh, this is very interesting. The shelter is pretty awkward here, but otherwise this hand has some potential. The question is, do we pitch the shelter just to cycle it out? Yeah, let's pitch the shelter. I don't think he's doing anything else here. This hand's, it's not happening in this hand. Of course, the shelter is the kind of awkward draw here, but that comes with the territory of how this matchup goes. The D-Reacts are sometimes really good. D-Reacts are sometimes really bad. We don't really get a say over how they are. outside of a little bit of awkwardness with the shelter, the hand's solid. You know, it'd be better if the shelter was any attack react, but that's alright. So far this game feels okay. He hasn't started decomposing, which is nice. I think he just blocks with one of his 6 arcane, which is nice. He's blocking with a card here, which is pretty good for us in the sense that we weren't gonna do anything. Yeah, and then we just Sigil of Solace. It's so beautiful to see them blocking with the Scours because they are irrelevant to our deck now. Yeah, so of course the shelter was not relevant this turn, but that is all right. Ooh, very interesting hand. So this is a hand where we obviously just want to swing for the Drakai. Interestingly enough as well, of course, we would really like to arsenal this Fire and Brimstone because of how good the card is in general. It definitely leaves us open to Plow Under as an effect. But I think we're just going to like overblock this a bunch and, you know, give him 3 cards for 2, but it lets us swing a 4 the Drakai, which is pretty relevant. So we're overblocking by 2, which makes this kind of awkward. Technically, we could give Dynamos here and not overblock at all, and just IP the Fire and Brimstone, which is not a bad idea. But because we're not, I'm just playing the more value line, right? Because we aren't gonna refresh the Dynamos with the for the Drakai. It's like, let's not go for that. See, Poison the Well would have been kind of cool there. So this is nice. 3rd fealty. Now we just need to find a pledge or hit him at some point, and we're online. He's used a decent bit of armor. Of course, we do have 3 less life in this game compared to the previous because we are, you know, not running the bracers. Surely he will block 4. I don't see why he would let me get online. Yeah, that seems correct. Definitely is best for him that I don't hit here. And we're gonna really, we haven't gotten a Fire Brimstone off in any of these Verdance games, so we're still hoping. Well, we get to be online, which is nice. Interesting. So he's just gaining some life. Ooh, and a Felling. Felling is definitely very solid here. So we're probably gonna bottom. Ooh, wait, we could almost go off with the... I think we should go off with the Fire and Brimstone here. We're just going to let him hit us kind of hard with physical, which I know I said don't take physical. There are exceptions to the rule. Bottom that, because we're going to take 5 physical here. So, you know, there's a world where we're supposed to block with something, but because this could potentially be a Fire and Brimstone hand and get us online, we are not doing that. So this hand's quite good. We're a little bit behind right now, but this should catch us up. So we can pitch the blue. Once again, a blue being much better than yellow here, because this lets us go Fire and Brimstone for 1, pay the last resource for the Obsidian Fire Vein to then use the Infirm Loyalty, and then we'll be online to attack with the other 2 daggers for free. So pretty big damaged hand here. We successfully got off a Fire and Brimstone before it was Plow Undered, which is good. I do think this card's, in most matchups, the most important card to Arsenal, unless it's way too late. Of course, the inefficient, of course, I'm a little uncomfortable that we're technically trading a card for a card here, but of course, this Fire and Brimstone's doing way more than this turn than just attacking for 3. So now we get to be online. This game definitely progressed at a more decent pace. This is like kind of, I would say, what I would expect the quote-unquote average Verdance Fang game to be. Like, I'm getting online this turn. He's likely, or she is likely to get online on their next turn or so. So, you know, they'll be online soon. This is nice for them that they use Bark Skin here. That's definitely a good idea. So they'll be online, you know, relatively soon, maybe their next turn or the turn after. So we're around, we should typically be getting online at roughly the same amount of time. If one person gets online way earlier than the other person, that's unfortunate for sure. Look at this damage. Let's go. Smack them very hard. We also get 4 total fealties here because they were marked, so that's pretty nice for drawing bad hands in the future. Evening up the life total, quite nice to see. Diadem now can be blocked with to get us that extra 2 life from it. Ooh, and that's a really nice draw here. Ooh, and a Colors of Arya. That's pretty cool. Well, this is our worst card. And then we can just block 7. Ta-da. Remember, block all the physical you can. So there's 2 options here. Savor now or Arsenal the Saver. I think it's significant to see where their Plow Unders are. You really don't want to Arsenal the Saver and get Plow Undered. They have not played any Plow Unders, so we're definitely going to play that Saver out. You know, Sigil is, like I said, the best Arsenal. It makes them, I mean, not that the Plow is a bad play anyways, but it kind of punishes the Plow Under. Nice to get online and then find a Hunt's End. Just a like normal value hand here. Like, I mean, like a pretty normal Fang hand. Once you're online, get a block for 3, get to use your dynamos, attack efficiently, refresh. Ooh, this is a really cool card. So we're gonna be able to sync this, which is nice. I think we'll sync the Relentless Pursuit. Because if we need to react, it's nice to have this Scar Tissue. See what he's got after. And a Felling, interesting. So we're gonna have to bottom a card. Probably, I mean, it doesn't really matter too much if we bottom the Overcrowded or the Forger Kai. I think bottoming, I suppose bottoming the Forger Kai is better if we want to push some damage later. We are gonna take 4 physical damage this turn. It is actually okay for us to block with the Scour, or sorry, with the Diadem once the Scours are all gone, so it's like kind of nice to note that. You know, he's got 1 Scour left. Once the last Scour is gone, it's pretty unlikely he'll destroy any of our fealties, I should say, for the rest of the game. So that is something we can keep in mind. You know, you can get the full 3 block from Diadem in this matchup. It's not always going to happen, because if, you know, they just have a Scour floating around the whole game, makes you not really enticed to give it up. But especially at the end of the game when, you know, it's kind of unlikely they're going to Scour. You can play around it. Yeah, he's going to have a D-React here, which is unfortunate. Oh, he's not having the D-React. It's pretty nice. Because it means, yeah, when you're using your fealties like that, you really want to, quote-unquote, refresh them with the Scar Tissue. So it's good that we got that back. Okay, I'd say this game is going well. Nullrune Gloves haven't really gotten to show off, though, I will say. I don't think the Nullrune Gloves have been relevant. So we have a choice here. I think it's more correct to block with the Last Ditch Effort. But it's either that or like Oath of Loyalty, Savor, Bloodshed. They're all interesting. Because like this, holding it back is nice if they have arcane damage, is what I'm trying to say. Because if I block with like the Oath, which is probably the second best block in this hand, because it has some anti-synergy here, blocking with the Oath has some nice utility there. Because, yeah, like I said, if I want to do this. But, I mean, let's just assume he's not doing arcane. And then the Oath is the better line here. If he's got physical, then this is definitely the better option. Yeah. Okay, so important thing to realize here. We could block, like we could use the Saver on offense. I think it's better to get 1 less value and use it on defense because, like I said, we're really trying to not take damage. We want to take this game grindy style now. Even if we're being a little less efficient than we could be, we're trying to grind it out, trying to not take anything that's not arcane. He's a more aggressive version, which is interesting. Like the Scar for Scars, he might not be on the Channel Millennium tree. So if I had to say, there could be a bit of a bias in us winning this game if we do, because he's a little less arcane heavy. Gonna just do the Scar Tissue again. One of the important things about hitting 4 fealty is exactly what you've seen these last 2 turns. You know, the red and the yellow Scar Tissue acting as just really solid turns, which is only possible because we had the 4th fealty. So, of course, hitting 3 fealty is the most important thing, but getting that 4th fealty that you can kind of, you know, cycle, you could say, with your Scar Tissues and even with like Sigil of Solstice occasionally, stuff like that. It's not insignificant. This game has been very significant. We're going to sink the Pledge here, of course, because it's definitely the most awkward card. If he had plows, one thing to note here, I should say, if he had his plows like completely gone, there's a world where it's correct to Arsenal the Sink below. And you get some value from blocking with Dynamo here. Because they're using the Sink, we might not get any Dynamo value this turn. But he has plows left. I'm not really interested in arsenaling anything other than his Sigil. I'm going to sink that. Solid hand. Just a 4/4/4 hand. What else do we got? Wow, very physical damage heavy. So once again, we're going to be blocking a bunch. So once again, it's a weird decision, right? Like, this is all better on offense. It's one of the circumstances where now we're starting to think like maybe we do want to keep it for offense. Because blocking with this, we lose 1 value, and then blocking with this, we effectively lose 1 value because it's +3 on this versus blocking for 2. So do we want to lose, you know, 2 value but have some extra life? The answer is probably. Where's our... Because if we're starting to grind the game out, we need to know where our last-ditch efforts are. We have a last-ditch effort left in the deck, which is relevant. We're at a lot of life, so I think... I do think we're going to block here. There's a world where this is incorrect, but I kind of like grinding it out. We've got a lot of deck left. We're not really anywhere close to fatigue. And like I said, we're playing a last-ditch effort, so that helps a lot against fatigue. We should probably intentionally not block with that last-ditch effort. Hope everyone is enjoying the stream. I doubt they will be too common, if I'm being honest, but I hope they're still fun. I would love for them to be common. I don't typically have time for them to be common, but I do enjoy doing them. Have we seen the 3rd Scour? I was the one talking about that earlier and then haven't been paying attention. No, we haven't. He's like almost out of his physical damage, honestly. He's got like 1 Cadaverous. No, he's got no red Cadaverous and 1 Felling and 2 Plow. No Scar left. Oh, he gave me a 3 on that. That's fantastic for us. Very good turn cycle for us. And here we see a Light Up the Leaves, but our hand lines up quite well into it. This is where the AB is kind of eh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the AB made any difference this game. It saved us 2 life at the beginning. So if that, I think that's the only time we AB'd. If that ends up being relevant, then that's kind of cool, I guess you could say. Cool to note. This hand, I think we're just going like Tooth, Scar, and then maybe like playing both Sigils out and arsenaling the Pledge. Here's a Oath. How many Savers do we have left? Just 1? Because it's an option, like we're going to Scar here. Oh, this is interesting. Didn't realize he was going to block this much. It makes the Scar a little less efficient. So what I was thinking is we can fealty to make it hit 1 more, But then we're at 3 fealty. It's kind of awkward. It's probably worth it. We have a pledge, so we're not actually going that low. So just gonna get the extra point of damage here, if we can. Might have a mental block. Oh, no. Okay. And we are just going to boop, boop, gain a bunch of life, arsenal this pledge. It is actually nice that we found this pledge. It is sometimes quite annoying to, have a pledge once you're online. In some circumstances, it's nice, such as when you had to use that 4th one. Just gonna get Saber here for, the damage. His hand's not as aggressive as you would really want a hand to be, but it works. It works okay. Not having bracers here actually makes this glint kind of awkward. Maybe, he's likely to block with cards from hand, so the glint might be online. If it's not, there's maybe a world where we arsenal it and play the pledge out. I don't think that actually would be the worst. We're dealing decent damage here, though. It's quite nice. Could even play the Smoldering on that first one, but then double D-React kind of blows it out a little bit. Yeah, let's just do this. We'll play the pledge out for like no value, but... Ooh, interesting. So I think now it's worth glinting. Just see what we get, We could get like a Sigil or something. Yeah, because like now Sync is probably the better arsenal compared to Glint. It's easy. It could get Plow undered, but Glint could as well. And we're at least getting the pledge value here in case we need it. Ooh, this is so interesting. When this enters the arena at the start of your action phase, put another target aura on the bottom of its owner's deck. So this gets around Diadem, of course. We are going to end up getting some more fealties here. And an Elemental Strike. Banishing a Plow under. Maybe we should be sinking this Shelter. So the options are Dynamo, sink the Shelter, hope it's a good offensive card, or just sink and Shelter on this, hold the Dynamo back, play the rest of the hand out. Or Relentless Pursuit. I'm not sure why I didn't think about that. Let's do this. We are going to sink the Shelter. We are not going to get Dynamo value, but that is not that big of a deal. So it's nice that this card, especially, also Summer's Fall, means you do want a little extra fealty as a buffer into Verdance. I haven't been doing that as efficiently. It might have actually been bad for me to just kind of throw out some of those scar tissues, like that last one I did for 1 extra value. Could bite me here, but could also be fine. We are going to go for the Tooth into Affirm because that is just the most value. And we need to get that 4th fealty so we don't get blown out by this Tranquil. Because he will be knocking us down a fealty. We have actually used 2 pledges already, so we've been going through our fealties fairly quickly, but he's getting pretty low on life. It's also, this is more like an insurance than anything, right? Than Elrune Gloves. A bunch of marking here. So we're probably just going to bottom like Searing Gaze because we can't really use it effectively. And then block with like yellow Scar Tissue. We're definitely taking physical damage here. Not too much we can do. Well, we could block it all the way out. Like this blocks for 5 and then just swing the Blistering Blade only, which in some circumstances is totally correct. And I would say just block with the whole hand, take no damage and really just continue to grind it out. but the decks are getting pretty low. Like we're at 16 cards. And Hunt's End plus Red Scar is just so much damage that plus Blistering Blade makes me just want to, like, I don't think I'm going to be punished too hard for taking this 5, where typically I think it would. But we're getting like more into like a fatigue state than anything, funnily enough. Hello, game. There we go. Stream's pretty sick, I think. Thank you. Hopefully it's been somewhat helpful to hear me talk through Fang lines. Okay, let's check his D-Reacts. We have seen 3 Sync, 2 Fate. That's it, huh? Okay, so the reason I'm thinking it is I could just pump these both on, which I think is I'm going to do, because if you can make them just have it, like quote-unquote have it, it's typically good to do so. Like, you have to have the D-React, otherwise you're dead. If he has a D-React, that's okay. If he doesn't have the D-React, he's dead. He's got a mental block, so he will go to 1. Which is nice to get them to 1 as well. So, didn't have the D-React, had a way to not die, but that's still pretty good. He has to block this. Depending how he blocks, we could try to Blistering Blade to kill him. We probably should Blistering Blade here. You know, he could gain life to not die, but then he's not gaining life on his turn. Oh. Because Blistering Blade kills, of course. Yeah, I think we still go for it. You know, if it kills him, that's great. Once again, if he has to use a heal card, that's fine. Just a little inefficient. Yeah, so he's not dead. He goes to 2, and the arsenal is a Heartbeat of Candlehold, which we do only know because he showed it to us. But he can't use it. Like, he gets kind of blown out by having this Ponder. Ooh, and Glint is always really nice to see. In circumstances like this, double Long Whisker Loyalty means we should really be pretty concrete in winning this game, because we get to keep attacking with a dagger over and over. Let's just Glint again, see what's coming up. That's fine. Now we're just going to kind of keep chaining him along with these Long Whisker Loyalties. In that circumstance, I could have thrown a Hunt's End on top to try to make him have it, but it's kind of, I think the best way to close out the game from this point is to swing with multiple Long Whisker Loyalties, since it's going to chip him to the point of having to block really inefficiently. As you can see here, I get another one. This is going to come in for 4 again after Long Whisker, so he has to overblock, and then he'll die on the last one. So he will have to at least use a D-React here or die. And has the D-React, but now we get to throw another one at him. So it's like eating his whole hands, right? Long Whisker is a really great card late in the game, especially when you get it with the Glint. That makes them block. So now, even though, you know, I could do the thing where I said earlier where you make them have it, he did have, you know, multiple D-Reacts here. Oh, and he's going to go for this. That makes sense. I mean, it doesn't save him, but he gets to show what the ending life total would be like. And we will close it out with this. Technically, even would have a Smoldering Steel to Arsenal. Nice. GG. Okay, so that's a little more what we were thinking, but we didn't win because of, like, the deck changes, did we? Because what we do, we added some more blues. Technically, the extra blues were relevant in the sense that I think we didn't stumble on pitching too much at all. So I don't think the extra blues were completely irrelevant. There was even a circumstance where there was like maybe a reason to Relentless Pursuit for the mark. So adding that back in was kind of nice. But I'm not sure the AB was as relevant. Like it actually was like 1 less value than Bracers, in the sense that, you know, we took 2 less damage on the turn 0, but bracers would have blocked for 3. Our deck was getting really thin, although he was also like almost out of gas. Although his deck does more with less cards. The shelters were kind of less relevant this game. He was more physical damage based, though. I think if he was more sending arcane, this is when you win this matchup, I think, for sure. Like when they're sending burn bears and the light up the leaves over and over, that's when the matchup feels really sketchy. When they're just sending physical damage, like they're playing the Scar for Scars into us, then I think it's kind of okay. Okay. I think we look for more Verdance, and we can go back to looking for Marios as well, because we haven't gotten to try those yet. I do want to do a little more Verdance testing. I know we've been doing 3 games, but it is important to test into the top deck, of course. That's what we're here to do for the most part. Mario, though, is also going to be a top deck, and we haven't gotten to see how that goes yet. So it'll be nice to see how that goes. We haven't obviously gotten to see really how Last Ditch Effort goes yet, but I don't think that needs much testing in the sense of like it will be good in the matchups it needs to be good, and it won't in the matchups it's not. Maybe Parched Terrain. Okay, we got a Mario. We're gonna go first against Mario because they also like to go first. I'm trying Kabuto here. Technically, Diadem could sometimes be better, but I think Kabuto has some legs. Maybe we want this last Den of the Spider. And we'll just cut, like, because this wasn't in the deck before. We'll cut a Smoldering Steel for it. I'm not sure that the 3rd Den of the Spider needs to exist in the deck. Because was I putting them in against the Verdance? No. I'm not sure why I added that 3rd Den of the Spider in. I don't think it's relevant. Ooh, this is nice. Great card to start off with. Okay, so we've got Tarantula, Shelter, Reaper's Call, Saver. We are going to pitch this least relevant card. Let's see what he goes for. Yeah, the cut from the same cloth is a fantastic card in this matchup. Getting to mark, getting the bump, really, really good. All right. Let's see what he's giving us. So he's got a Reaper's Call in hand. I mean, he's holding the Shelter back, right? But making his starting hand be Reaper's Call and Shelter is so interesting. Oh, but he's going to let go of the Reaper's Call at the end here. What if we throw both of these on top? I don't love the idea of starting with no arsenal, so I think we're just going to let this go. Ooh, is that a mistake from him? I guess it's not really a mistake. This just brings us to 8, right? It doesn't punish, it just makes him use the Shelter. I kind of prefer just knowing he has Shelter. He could discard it at the end of the turn. That's not the worst idea for him. Sand's decent. Blistering with the Scar Tissue once he's already marked. Also Blunton. Doing Blunton things in this matchup. Oh, he's on Stalker Step. That's so interesting. The card's not bad even when you're not against an arcane deck. Let us assume that this is just hopefully going to be blocked out by Sink Below. And we're going to choose to sink nothing. We know he's a Shelter. Of course, we don't know the other 2 cards. Is that his whole turn? Surely not. What the hell? Okay, well that was very odd. So what we are planning to do is pitch this Blunton now instead of the Overcrowded, and we're going to Arsenal the Overcrowded. Which is nice that Blunton is yellow. This is only possible because Blunton is yellow. I do think it being a yellow 2 block is much better than it being a red 3 block. Of course, I would love for it to be a yellow 3 block. Okay, so he can go 6 here. I think we're just going to go like 4 into 4 it's 2 damage across instead of yeah, inertia trap is kind of awkward. I didn't even think about that with the overcrowded, to be honest. There's a world where we're supposed to go like this to try to get some grains triggers. I think that is what we're supposed to do, since we have to get rid of this overcrowded anyways. And now, I mean, maybe he's kind of tempted to like use the shelter. See, oh, that's so interesting. Block that out. Okay, well, we will give up this overcrowded for H vigor if necessary. He's gonna go for mask. Yeah, this inertia trap's quite good. Inertia trap was definitely good value there. Okay. I mean, that's annoying because we're just losing this overcrowded, but he did give an extra card he didn't need to. Oh, he's gonna get blown out by this. That is unfortunate for him. Yeah. Pretty nice for us. I mean, he gets the thingy, which is, of course, good value for him. I think we'll just go here. Oh, by the way, sometimes when they're doing this is when you Kabuto. This turn it didn't really work because we wouldn't get the shelter value. But Kabuto in this circumstance means he doesn't get the +3 value from Orb Weaver. So that's like the main reason we Kabuto is Orb Weaver turns. Just to shout out why Kabuto is good. Yeah, we're just pitching Hunsend for like Searing Gaze. Is that all that's happening this hand? I suppose so. Pretty awkward hand. But this gets rid of the mark on me, which is kind of nice. He pitched a Codex of Frailty, which is also an important thing to note. I haven't been drawing a lot of my Arachne hate cards this game, though. I mean, I got that shelter. Well, that's pretty good for him. But same thing as effectively as him having a 4-block. I wonder if there was any way for me to play around that inertia trap the turn before, but I feel like there wasn't. So are we just for the Dracaing here? This is good for him, I suppose. Maybe we Kabuto here. Maybe we Kabuto here. It's for 5. Because like he wants to hit and then flick or something like that. Kind of down for Kabuto here. Kabuto with a shelter, I should say. Like, it's the worst case scenario is 2 value, right? Which is like, that sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Oh, and leave no. Oh, I'm so glad I played the shelter now. Really, really nice line for us in the end here. So we can block with Oath of Loyalty. That's almost certainly the correct route. Arsenal this and then just play these out. I mean, he gets a silver here probably, but I don't think his deck has any real way to get value out of silver. And he gets 1 damage through, obviously. Nice. Get a for the Drakai. So, of course, it's better if this hits because of cut from the same cloth, but it's definitely not necessary for it to hit. Like, this is a +4 either way. And getting value. Honestly, the seeing their hand is almost more important from cut from the same cloth. Seeing their hand is so nice for just making decisions. I do wish this card was a 3-block, because then we would just like play Rainbow almost in the deck. But okay, him taking it is quite nice here. As long as he can't end up disrupting our arsenal, we will mark him next turn with the cut from the same cloth. Blunton is a pretty significant draw here. Pretty happy to block with both Blunton and For the Jakai. You don't really want to, how should I say, like, you don't want to block in a way against Mario, like overblocking it unless you are going to die. Because technically I could throw this For the Jakai on, but I can also like reasonably attack with it on my turn or arsenal it. And you know, he might react or like attack react here up to 5, but he might not. And you don't want to just give them free blocks. It's the same reason you would do that against Fang. You don't want to just like throw a bunch of block against Fang because they can sidestep. Here, it really, this was a pretty inefficient turn for him, especially with my Blunton. He just used 3 cards to deal 1 damage and mark me. Sorry, thinking about that made me laugh. 3 cards to deal 1 damage and mark. Okay, and then we should be online. Yeah, he just gets red back. That's a fine one, I think. Okay, we've got Cut from the Same Cloth, Exposed, Reaper's Call. We almost didn't mark him there. Leave No Witnesses makes me want to not arsenal the For the Jakai. Hand seems kind of mid for him, but we don't know his arsenal. Oh, he has red back. Of course, we will Blistering Blade here. And we are going to make the Vigor because we want to swing the For the Jakai. Just for 4 damage, no other effect, but we're online now anyways. We do lose 2 value in a sense here from not refreshing with Dynamo and Obsidian Swing, so there is a reason to not swing this For the Jakai. But we get a Vigor out of this, which is nice if we draw some Overcrowdeds, which I think we still have only seen 1. Yeah, of course, now we see the Million Hunt to the Ends of Wraith. But we're pretty ahead on life, and his hand doesn't have like the craziest damage output. So my guess is we are going to let him smack us as hard as he wants, and then we're just going to go Hunt to the Ends of Wraith, Hunt to the Ends of Wraith, Scar Tissue, all sorts of baloney there. And that will be the turn. Just hit him really efficiently. I think Sten is probably nicer to be arsenal than just played because we don't really need the mark right now. He is going to just swing for a decent amount of damage here. That's fine. Okay. It's a good, very efficient, of course. Like 1 card 5 go again is very good. So definitely a nice line from him. But we will see if it ends up being relevant. And then he gets +3 on it. His hand will end up converting pretty decently. He gets 3 value from his next card, and then probably swings with the Leave No Witness for 4 damage. I would like to get an Overcrowded in my graveyard at some point. Yeah, it's nice to sidestep a Tarantula Toxin. He's only got 1 left. That's probably one of the hardest cards for us to play around, so I mean, he might get us with the last one, but the fact that he hasn't really gotten a gotcha with either of the others is quite nice for us. I think the first one was blocked with turn 0. No Codex yet, but we have seen 1 pitched, and 2 Savers gone. So those are his main 9 power cards in my mind. So he's likely to find 1 more Saver and 1 more Toxin, and then 2. So he's got like 4 power cards left. So he's doing this into... He's got an Exposed in his hand. What is he going to do with that Exposed? Throw it on this or something? I don't know what he's doing. Doesn't really matter. None of it is very efficient, and I should win the damage race in this turn cycle. Ah, that's smart. You get some actual value from that. Whatever he draws is most likely better in his arsenal than that. Sigil is a nice hit for him. Finally find these Hunt to the Ends of the Race. They're good cards. I mean, they're much better when we're not online. They're like our best way to get online quickly. But the fact that they're always 0 for 4 go agains into Marionette makes them like effectively better Blaze Headlongs. What about another one? We're going to have a lot of fealty at the end of this turn, which is nice. That's the reason I don't think we play Pledge Fealty in this matchup, specifically because we just get so much of it through other means. Yeah, no Pledge. It doesn't block, and we have like these Cut from the Same Cloths and the Hunt Ends of Wraith and enough other ways to get online. I do think we don't need the third Den of the Spider. I'm not sure why it's in here. That's probably better as like an Arcane Polarity or something like that. One of my friends mentioned Parched Terrain to me. Had to completely forgot about that, but I wish I had tested that today. Maybe we will try a copy or two of Parched Terrain. That might be the line. We are waiting for them. Are you there? Please don't leave, opponent. I don't like that when that happens in the middle of the game. Hello? What do you guys think in chat? Should we give them more time or should we just dip? Did they just like rage quit at a second Hunt Ends of Wraith? I do think this at least shows the matchup is favored. But we are going to leave. Okay, I'm going to quickly fix this up because I do want to have some Parched Terrains in here to test with. Let's cut that. What is our Verdance build looking like right now? Yeah, maybe this comes out and we have 2 Parched Terrain. Or like the Relentless Pursuit. Let's just try 1 Parched. Yeah, but then you can't really test something effectively with only 1 Parched. Let's try 2 Parched. And let's cut that Relentless Pursuit. Let's do it like this. But now we have a slot back because I'm not playing the Arcane with only. Maybe we still play the Arcane gloves. I was thinking like with the less blue, but how much does an impact does 1 less blue really make? But we do want the 2 Parched in here, and like the Den is kind of nice too. So what are we cutting like 2 guards for in this matchup? I mean, it could just be the 2 Dens. Like there is plenty of circumstances where D-React is inefficient, so I think we just let the Dens go. We're gonna try Parched out. It could be quite nice. Let's go Verdance and Arachne again. Gonna continue testing against what I consider the top 2 decks and see if we can beat it. I would love to try to see if that Parched Terrain actually works. I'm dubious on it, but I could see it being a huge high roll. Should I try joining these? I'm always scared that I'm going to join and then notice they're not what I'm looking for and just like feel like an asshole. I'm going to go get some more water quickly and go to the bathroom while we wait. That is not a Verdance or an Acilio. Or it's not Acilio, I should say Marionette. We caught one. Okay, let's go for this. Might be one of our last games. This hand's pretty insane to start off with. We are just gonna go like pledge, throw these out, and then Arsenal Long Whisker. Great starting hand. Let's just not let him even get any earth into his graveyard. He might have something. We might get the Waning Moon off here. Does that count? No, it's an instant. I got a brownie. This is what you need to win in Flesh and Blood. We're hoping they do react on this Oath of Loyalty here. We really want this Long Whisker to connect to get the mark. Because then we get a 4-letter Kai through here. If he passes, it means he's probably de-reacting it, unfortunately. I mean, he's got them all left, so. That's a really good sign for us. We get the buff power and the mark. So if we get the mark here, that's really great. Nice. Okay. Huge turn. These first two hands have been pretty significant for us. Pretty amazing hands. Definitely about as good of a start as you can hope for this matchup. Starting it with a, I mean, that's why we go first against Verdance. Getting to go turn 0, Sigil, and Pledge, really good. I do think this will be my last game. My fiance is heading home from her book club, so we're gonna get some Thai food, I think. What? I'm not sure if this is a very good Verdance. I'm gonna be honest. Any testing is good testing, but that is an odd block, I have to say. I mean, I get that they don't want me to get online, so that's fair. But surely blocking with their hand to fill up their bin a bit more is better. Maybe not. Yeah, like you should have just blocked 4 with these two. Oh well. We are doing this for the Drakai and getting online. Great start to the game for us. Great start. I do hope we get to see the parch drains. I want to see if they're good or not. Really, really great start. This is when you play against Verdance as Fang, this is what you want to see. You want to get online at a reasonable pace. You know, this is quite fast, actually. It's our second turn. They didn't have the D-React when they needed it. Great start. Pretty dubious on our counter cards, like the Nullrune Gloves and the... Oh, this is so odd. The Nullrune Gloves and the Parched Terrain. But this is what you want to see when you face this deck. Diadem is pretty massive for this matchup. Like, if we become popular, they're going to have to start playing that like crappy aura that we saw in the previous Verdance game. Oh, there's Parched Terrain. If he tries to gain life here, we can do a little bit of a bamboozle. That's an annoying Plow Under, but not the end of the world. I think we might try to go a little aggro. Oh, what? Okay, I don't know if this is the best Verdance we could play against. No offense exactly to this Verdance player, but... yeah, Parched Terrain costing 1 is what... I really wish they had made this card cost 0. Would that have made it so broken? I don't think it would have been that broken if it cost 0. This guy's playing Rampant Growth into Fang. He's playing, you know, doubling up on Ponder, blocking with armor early. Like I said, any practice is kind of good practice to test some cards, but I'm not sure this will be the best game for what we're trying to find out. We are going to play Parched Terrain here as our go again source, and then hope to get a Vigor. And then see if we end up getting any value. It's kind of an early Parched Terrain, and it's not in response to life gain like you would want it to be. Is he blocking 6? If he blocks 6, we probably won't go for the Parched Terrain. No, he's not, so we are going to go for it. Let's find out how this goes. We actually might get a Saver on hit off this turn, which would be kind of a first for us. Wait, I don't know. Maybe we've gotten 1 Saver on hit off this whole stream. I think it'll end up being a little over 3 hours of a stream, by the way. So thank you for everyone who joined during it. And to everyone who joins after or watches after. Shout out to you. Comment. What's a fun thing to comment? I don't even know. If you're watching this after the stream is ended and you've watched all the way to this point, comment witch, I guess, because there's a witch in Fate Foreseen. I'm trying to think of like a unique identifier. I was, yeah, coping about getting that Saver Bloodshed on hit off, but of course we would never actually get it off. What are we, Mario? Look at me thinking we're going to get a Saver Bloodshed on hit off. Parched Terrain value. Oh, we get another Saver chance? Another chance. I think it's better to Saver with an Affirm than Saver with a Tooth. Maybe we just keep it all, though. Well, I guess we're bottoming one of them. Typically, I block with Savers here, but when they're marked, it's a little too juicy not to go for. We will bottom the Tooth. We will block. End up taking some damage here, but that is okay. Technically, I could block with the Grains, but I think it's a little early to be throwing that around. It's funny because we're online, but it looks like we're behind. They're not online, though, importantly. I have no idea if this Parched Terrain is going to do any work, but it will last for a long time. It will. Eventually, we should let it go because there's a second Parched Terrain in the deck. I just don't know how often the life gain is even relevant. Like, Verdance is more an Earth deck than a life gain deck. Let's see if we get this through. I'm sure he has a D-React, but the fact that this one attack for 1 after it can also put some value out there is nice. Yeah, it has the D-React. This is why Saber puts them in such an uncomfortable position, though. The bark skin block was inefficient here. Oh no, he needed the extra one to get to 8. He might be able to block out the Saber, but like, based on this opponent though, not that this opponent's necessarily bad, but I'm not sure they even know Saber has the on hit here. No, they do, okay. I mean, they would probably block with this anyways because of the Saber on hit, but if not, it's nice that the parse strain makes that card not work. It doesn't matter what cards we banish, to be honest. Are we getting a second parched terrain out this turn? That's hilarious. There's no way that's correct. But I might straight up use the parched terrain just as a go against source. It's actually kind of decent here if he did like a double block like that. I'm just gonna go yoink, parched terrain, sidestep. That's so funny. I mean, like, it's better than an arcane polarity would be here, I guess. Because it lets me get a go against source. That's not nothing. Get some value from this blue or something. It could be that the correct cards to counter this matchup is just Endear Devotion. Because one of the issues in this matchup is just getting online quickly, and I used to run 3 Endear Devotion, and it made it way easier to get online quicker. We are going to get an additional attack in. Well, now we kind of have seen both our parts drained, so that they needed to carry us throughout the whole game. Throughout the rest of the game, I should say. Okay, well, it's good that we didn't let the grains go, because now we're actually getting some value from it. Not that these Vigors will necessarily end up doing anything. They're nice if we draw Fire and Brimstone, but we only have 1 overcrowded left to find, so otherwise they're not that relevant. I suppose they're nice to float if they're doing Arcane on our turn. There we go. It's been a bit of an odd game. Felling, huh? Definitely will bottom this pledge fealty. Well, then we're just going to double sync it, I guess. Yeah, I think that's fine. Pledge, double sync it. On our turn, just doing a classic Blistering Blade and Arsenal Sigil of Solace. I do, as you found out throughout the stream, really love Arsenaling Sigil of Solace. Such a nice card to make the opponent think. And especially in this matchup, as I've said a few times, play around Plow Under. Although they only have 1 Plow Under left. Also makes them like not know how much damage you have coming out, and when they're trying to kill with Arcane, they're not sure what's going on. Hopefully you can hear me okay. The audio quality is good still. Okay, let's just do what we're expected to do here. Yep, not really any surprises coming out this turn. Okay, dagger. Sorry if I'm not talking as much during some of these parts, but there's not a lot to comment on when the opponent's deciding an opt. But this turn's going pretty well. The game's getting a little grindy. I do wish the Verdance would play a little faster, but that's all right. We haven't seen our power turn yet. you know, we're probably going to lose at least one of these vigors here, if not both, but that's all right. I don't particularly care about the vigors. Like I said, they're only really relevant when we find the third overcrowded. This is a significant block, but he's doing it because of the parched terrain, which another reason the parched terrain is good here. Really not sure on this card yet. This game, it doesn't feel as relevant. I think it would feel a lot better if I did it in response. It's hard to measure the value of something when it just stops the opponent from doing stuff, because you don't know, well, in their mind, what you're stopping them. Okay, well, we get to do a Fire and Brimstone turn, which is all we can ever hope for in this deck. Let's hit them very hard. Might be worth, yeah, where's the last, still one plow left, right? Might be worth just not playing around that, because it's more efficient to arsenal one of these reactions. See what he goes for here. 3, so I don't really want to use this smoldering, so I think we're going to use this scar tissue. We can definitely afford to go down to 3 at the moment. Even if he finds some removal, we've only seen one pledge. Ooh, nice little mental block here. So it is stopping me from getting my 4th fealty back, which could end up being significant at some point, but I don't think it's really significant now. This turn should turn around the damage quite a bit. Yeah, it'd be nice if they made the decisions a little faster. I think you might go to time in an IRL game if they were playing that at speed, but that's okay. Nice. Luckily, Talishar does everything a lot faster, so despite what feels like a little slower play, it's only been 16 minutes. Some good damage output here. And we're going to gain some life back. And filling up the graveyard for parched terrain, which could certainly be relevant. Now, do we want to Smoldering Steel for 3 value, or... No, we certainly want a Sigil of Solace, especially now that we're at down to just the 3 fealties. Of course, we can get a little more blown out by Plow under here, but it's a lot sketchier to not have a Draconic React lined up, even if it's Smoldering Steel, which is kind of a bad card. But we're evening out the damage here. Have we seen 2 fellings already? I think we might have. Ooh, this hand's really awkward. We get a block. Okay, it's not that bad. Does this count as an aura? It's only our tokens, right? Yeah. Oh, he has a ponder. That's hilarious. He's got a ponder. And are we gonna go to time? Like, do I need to find a way to get this last-ditch effort at the bottom of my deck? Or do I think we're gonna kill him? We're at a lot of life to be halfway through our deck, so I actually kind of want to get this last-ditch effort to the bottom. So I think despite it being a better block and keeping the glint in hand, we're gonna go for keeping the last-ditch effort in hand. But otherwise, his hand blocks quite well. So the Overcrowded will block for 4. Very nice. Definitely one of my favorite cards in the deck. And we will hopefully be able to pitch this last-ditch effort to a Vigor creation, even though we get no value from Vigor anymore. I suppose we could wait to find a sink, but yeah. Kind of IPing ourselves a little bit here. Glint is a better card in some ways, but I would like the last-ditch effort in case we go that long. Could even arsenal it, you know? And then when they plow under, it bottoms for us. How nice would that be? So they have seen 2 felling, 2 plow. Going through a lot of their deck. Wow, we've seen both Channel Millennium Trees. Surely those aren't the correct blocks. So we could put this to 6 with the Smoldering Steel. We'll see how it goes. I'm happy just to have them take 4 and then last ditch effort it. If they 4 block, yeah, I think I'm gonna Smoldering just to attempt to get to pitch this last ditch effort. I'm playing so hard around these last ditch efforts just to see if they're ever relevant, but so far they haven't been, and they're just making me play worse. So I'm not sold on their utility. But I haven't tested them into hard fatigue yet. We do get, 3 value out of that Smoldering Steel, so it's not nothing. And we'll eventually cycle back around to our 3rd Overcrowded. This Parched Terrain is being quite nice. Ooh, solid hand. Is he attacking with this? Surely not. Oh, wow. Okay. Guess. Certainly this is the right line. Just swing for a bunch of damage with our hand. Yeah, this game feels quite good for us, despite needing to grind out a lot more. I feel like we're in a pretty commanding position at the moment. Getting some really high damage output on this hand. He's blocking with his last felling. That's really great for us too. Really great. And we get to do the sidesteps option. So like if for some reason he decides to double block here, we tooth. If he no blocks, we're going to do a Hunt to the Ends of Wraith just for the potential to push 6 if he has no D-React. Yep, and he has no D-React, which is great. I mean, Bracers would have really maybe been better in this game once again. I'm definitely leaning a little more towards Nullrune Gloves being an inefficient option for this matchup, but maybe Parched Terrain is good. I mean, we've been able to keep them around for a while, and we don't... I'm certain that there's been some amount of blowout from this existing. It's not going to exist the whole game, but we've got another 2 to 3 turns with it. Wow, that's a lot of damage coming in. We are going to AB this, I think. So, AB relevant there, although maybe playing the Glint would be better, but this hand doesn't really allow for Glint with Oath and us only having 3 fealties. This has been a pretty low fealty game for us, but we haven't found many pledges, and he's been pretty block heavy, so marking hasn't been as relevant. Although we will get an extra fealty here, which is nice. See what he does for blocks. He gives us a card, but it's only a 2 block, so we are going to go for hunts. If it was a 3 block, then it ends up becoming maybe a little better for tooth. 2 block though, Flourish is such an interesting card for Verdance to be in the deck. So if he blocks for 3, we'll definitely play the Affirm out. If he blocks for 4 for some reason, we'll just IP the Affirm. But even getting 1 damage, or in this case 2 damage, see, I think once again, like, once he's online, this Fruits is way better on offense, right? He would much rather discard this to gain 2 and deal 1 Arcane, but because of Parched, he can't do that. So I gain 1 value at least from this Parched, no matter what here. Like, I feel like it's being good. I'm not sure if 2 is necessary. Like, I think this game typically goes quite long, at least all the Verdance games we played on the stream. So I'm kind of thinking you only need 1, but there's the worry that you find it like too early or too late. Are we gonna keep it around for another turn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I suppose we will keep it around. Are we ABing this? Yeah, we are, right? Oh shit, I did 0. I guess it's not the end of the world, right? We'll just punch him very hard here. Yeah, honestly, I think it's maybe a slight misplay that we didn't AB1 with the Scar Tissue, but I'm not sure it'll have a massive impact on the game. How much Arcane does he have left? He's used 2 Burn Bears, 2 Light Up the Leaves. 3rd Burn Bear. Okay, he's only got 1 Light Up the Leaves, so I'm feeling pretty decent on life, and I have a Sigil left even. Boom, and then let's hit him with the Scar Tissue. to get a mark to maybe let the saver go off. We're really cycling this vigor for no reason, but that's all right. I think we have to get one more red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I think we'll have enough. I mean, we're going to play these both out because we're going to draw a card most likely. Unless he's got double D-react here, but he doesn't most likely. We're getting a lot of damage output here. Holy moly, look at that. Sink, yeah, that's just getting arsenaled. Oh, he's dead. Smoldering. Huh. Nice. Well, that's it for the stream. I think we kind of discovered Parched Terrain is solid at the end there. It definitely stopped. Like, he wouldn't get an even here, he wouldn't have the Heart of Yendel draw. He could have, like, technically saved himself by going Stormstriders with Heart of Yendel, Arcane Twinning, and Waning Moon, right, to deal 4 Arcane and not die. But he can't even gain life because of Parched Terrain. So I'm thinking at least one Parched Terrain might be worth it. The AB doesn't feel very relevant, so I'm not sure this is worth the slot. And yeah, what else did we add here? That was kind of what we've been mostly testing. The extra blues I think were kind of nice. So I mean, we ended up not having those. But I think the Parched Terrain is good. I think we need at least one of these, but maybe don't play the Null Rune Gloves. Didn't really get to play Arcane Polarity or... oh, but this says heroes can't gain life, right? So maybe we don't want that. Yeah, heroes can't gain life. Okay, so we're not going to play the Arcane Polarity as long as we have Parched Terrain in the deck. But maybe Blaze Headlong's an option. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. Remember to like, comment, and